As you settle into a comfortable position and let the day drift gently away, allow your mind to travel back in time, not through imagination, but through history, to a world shaped long before the modern one you know. A world where ideas were fragile, where knowledge slept in old manuscripts, and where only a handful of curious minds dared to look closer. In this quiet moment, you're stepping into the life of a man who observed the world with such clarity that his curiosity still echoes through the centuries. This is the story of Leonardo da Vinci, the quiet, meticulous observer who transformed the simple act of noticing into an art of its own. His life did not begin in grand halls or wealthy estates. It began in the softness of the countryside, surrounded by fields, flowing streams, and the rhythm of nature. The same quiet you feel now filled his earliest days, shaping how he would see everything around him. Leonardo lived slowly, thoughtfully, and with a kind of discipline born not from urgency, but from deep fascination. Tonight, as the world around you settles into silence, you will follow his footsteps, from the gentle hills of Vinci to the great cities where his mind sparked revolutions in art, science, and invention. Let your breath fall into an easy rhythm. Let each exhale carry you deeper into the calm. The journey ahead unfolds softly, like turning the first page of an ancient manuscript. We begin at the very start of his life, before fame, before masterpieces, before the mythology, before he became a name the world would never forget. Leonardo da Vinci's story begins on April 15th, 1452, in the small Tuscan town of Vinci, a place of rolling hills, olive groves, and warm Italian sunlight. His birthplace was modest, a rural home surrounded by the landscape that would shape his earliest memories. There was no sign that this countryside child would grow into one of the most celebrated minds in human history. He was born the illegitimate son of Ser Piero da Vinci, a respected notary, and Caterina, a young woman from the village. Yet, despite the circumstances, his early life was peaceful, wrapped in the rhythms of nature and simplicity. The countryside of Vinci offered Leonardo something that would become central to his character: quiet observation. As a child, he often wandered through the fields, watching birds take flight, studying the patterns in flowing water, and gathering small pieces of the natural world that intrigued him. While other children played with little care for the details around them, Leonardo lingered, taking in every sound and texture. The whisper of wind through tall grass, the soft hum of insects, the way shadows shifted throughout the day, all of it shaped his curiosity. Without realizing it, he was already training the eye of an artist and the mind of a scientist. His father, Ser Piero, visited often, though he did not live with Leonardo. He noticed the boy's intelligence early on, particularly the way Leonardo seemed fascinated by shapes, lines, and the behavior of living things. Yet, Ser Piero's status meant that Leonardo would not inherit the privileges of legitimate children. In some ways, this freed him. Without the expectation of becoming a notary, Leonardo was allowed space to explore broader interests. It was a quiet gift, the freedom to be himself without being pressed into a predetermined future. In Vinci, he was encouraged to learn from the world rather than from rigid instruction. Leonardo's childhood environment was rich with textures and movements that would later appear in his notebooks: the swirls of water, the structure of plants, the flight of birds. He collected small objects, sketched the things he saw, and asked questions that no one around him could fully answer. Why do birds angle their wings in certain directions? How does a river carve its path through the earth? What gives a face its expression? The gentle world of Vinci became his first and most patient teacher. Nature offered questions, and Leonardo began the lifelong habit of seeking answers. What set him apart was not education, for he received only the basics of reading and simple arithmetic. It was the intensity with which he observed. many people pass through life without noticing the fine details of their surroundings. Leonardo noticed everything. The way tree branches split at precise intervals, the spiral pattern of a shell, the structure of clouds after a rainstorm. These small observations later evolved into deep studies that filled thousands of pages of notes and drawings. Even as a boy, he was quietly gathering the foundation of a mind that would one day redefine art and science. Although he grew up outside the expectations of a noble household, Leonardo was not deprived. His family ensured he had food, shelter, and freedom. The countryside's calm gave him space to think, dream, and observe. But his life began to change as he approached adolescence. Ser Piero recognized that Leonardo's abilities extended far beyond ordinary curiosity. He saw a spark, the early signs of a talent too great to ignore. And so he made a decision that would transform Leonardo's future. He would bring him to Florence, the center of art, learning, and innovation in Renaissance Italy. Florence at that time was a city unlike any other. Under the influence of the Medici family, it had become the heart of cultural rebirth across Europe. Art, architecture, science, and philosophy were flourishing. Workshops and studios filled the city, and master artists developed new techniques that changed the way people saw and represented the world. This vibrant environment was the perfect place for a young mind like Leonardo's. Ser Piero understood that if his son stayed in Vinci, his potential might remain hidden among the hills. In Florence, it could bloom. Before leaving Vinci, Leonardo spent more time wandering through the natural landscapes that had become so familiar to him. He sketched leaves, branches, rocks, and streams, simple things that held endless complexity when examined closely. These final days in the countryside left a lasting imprint on his imagination. Even later in life, when surrounded by the noise of cities and crowded workshops, Leonardo often returned in thought to the quiet of his childhood. The calm, steady rhythms of nature remained a guiding force throughout his life. When he arrived in Florence, the contrast was overwhelming. The city was alive with movement. Merchants calling out in markets, artists carrying supplies, scholars debating ideas in public squares. Buildings rose high above the streets, decorated with sculptures and intricate details. For Leonardo, who had spent most of his life in the open landscapes of Vinci, the city felt like stepping into a grand new world. Yet he did not shrink from it. Instead, he observed with the same careful attention he had given to nature. The way people moved, the architecture of buildings, the vibrant colors of clothing, every detail fascinated him. Ser Piero introduced Leonardo to one of Florence's most respected artists, Andrea del Verrocchio. Verrocchio was a master sculptor, painter, and craftsman whose workshop produced some of the finest artists of the time. It was a place where talent was shaped, refined, and elevated. Apprentices learned not only painting, but also metalwork, engineering, and design. For a young Leonardo, it was a world filled with tools, materials, and endless opportunities to learn. Verrocchio immediately recognized Leonardo's potential and accepted him into his workshop. This moment marked the beginning of Leonardo's transformation from a curious boy to an apprentice artist. His days became filled with tasks essential to learning the craft: grinding pigments, preparing canvases, and studying the techniques of his master. The work was meticulous and sometimes repetitive, but Leonardo approached it with quiet diligence. Even the simplest tasks taught him the value of precision, patience, and discipline. In the calm of the workshop, he found a rhythm that suited him: slow, deliberate, and deeply focused. As months passed, Leonardo's skills grew rapidly. He practiced drawing endlessly, mastering the human form, facial expressions, and the subtle transitions of light and shadow. His attention to detail impressed Verrocchio, who began giving him increasingly challenging tasks. Leonardo's drawings were so lifelike, so filled with depth and softness, that he soon surpassed many of the other apprentices. His talent did not come from ambition or desire for recognition. It came from genuine fascination with the world and a desire to understand it fully. In the workshop, Leonardo also discovered disciplines beyond art. Verrocchio encouraged his apprentices to study mechanics, anatomy, and the natural sciences, believing that a great artist must understand the world at every level. This philosophy resonated deeply with Leonardo, who saw no separation between art and science. To him, they were two expressions of the same truth. He began filling small notebooks with observations, sketches, and theories. Muscles, bones, water currents, architectural designs, nothing escaped his curiosity. Though still young, he was already forming the habits that would define his life. One of the first significant moments in his apprenticeship came when Verrocchio asked him to paint an angel in a larger work. Leonardo approached the task with his characteristic calm intensity, studying the anatomy, the folds of the clothing, and the way light should fall across the figure. When the painting was completed, it was clear to everyone that Leonardo's angel was different, softer, more natural, and more lifelike than the rest of the composition. According to later accounts, Verrocchio himself was astonished, realizing that his apprentice had surpassed him. Whether or not the story is fully true, it reflects the impression Leonardo made in those early years. Despite his growing skill, Leonardo remained quiet and introspective. He avoided conflict, preferred long hours of study and practice, and often took time to wander alone. The noise of Florence never fully replaced the calm he had known in Vinci. But even in the bustling city, Leonardo found quiet spaces, moments where he could observe, think, and reconnect with the natural world. The slow, reflective rhythm of his mind never changed. It was this calm way of seeing that allowed him to capture subtleties others overlooked. As Leonardo progressed through his apprenticeship, he began to develop a style that would later transform art. He experimented with soft transitions between light and shadow, creating depth and emotion. He studied human expressions to capture fleeting feelings. He explored the geometry of perspective, using it to create more realistic compositions. All these elements grew from his desire to portray the world not just as it appeared, but as it truly felt. His work became a quiet bridge between observation and expression, shaped by both science and sensitivity. But Leonardo's journey was only beginning. The years in Verrocchio's workshop formed the foundation of his skills, but his ambitions, quiet as they were, reached far beyond the limits of traditional artistry. He would not remain an apprentice forever. Soon, the world would see him step out on his own, bringing with him a mind full of questions, hands skilled in many crafts, and a curiosity that seemed endless. Before long, Leonardo da Vinci would begin creating works that would change the course of art and scientific thought. As this first chapter comes to a gentle close, allow yourself to settle a little deeper into rest. Leonardo's journey from the quiet hills of Vinci to the vibrant heart of Florence was only the beginning of a life filled with creation, discovery, and wonder. In the next part, we will continue following his path as he develops into an independent artist, setting the stage for the masterpieces and ideas that would define human history. Leonardo's years inside Verrocchio's workshop became a quiet transformation, the kind that unfolds slowly, almost unnoticed, until something new begins to take shape. His days were filled with study and repetition, but he approached each task with a calm, methodical focus that set him apart from the other apprentices. While they hurried through their work, Leonardo lingered over details, studying the way a shadow curved, or how a strand of hair caught the light. He believed that every small observation mattered, that each brushstroke carried a piece of truth. Through this patient dedication, his early skills matured into something far more refined than anyone expected from a young apprentice. Although Verrocchio provided structure, much of Leonardo's learning came from quiet self-study. He spent long hours drawing in notebooks, practicing hands, faces, and the delicate folds of fabric. These were not quick sketches, but careful studies filled with curiosity. Leonardo looked for what others overlooked: the slight tilt of an eyelid, the tension in a wrist, the subtle change in tone across the skin. He drew hundreds of variations, exploring expressions and anatomy with gentle, steady attention. Even at this early stage, Leonardo approached art as both a craft and a science. One of the most significant elements of Leonardo's early development was his fascination with nature. He often stepped outside the workshop to observe plants, animals, and even the way dust floated through sunlight. These observations made their way into his drawings, giving his work a lifelike quality that felt soft, natural, and deeply human. He believed nature was the ultimate guide for an artist, and that every form carried its own hidden geometry. While others memorized techniques, Leonardo studied the world itself, learning from real movement and structure rather than rigid rules. His quiet personality sometimes puzzled those around him. Unlike other apprentices, Leonardo spoke little and often preferred solitude. He wasn't withdrawn. He simply processed the world in silence, using stillness as his method for understanding. When he did speak, his words held thoughtfulness, as if each idea had been turning gently in his mind long before it left his lips. Some took this as shyness, others as intelligence, but to Leonardo, it was simply natural. His mind moved slowly and deeply, absorbing every detail before deciding what to express. Over time, Leonardo's presence in the workshop became unmistakable. His drawings displayed a grace that seemed far beyond his years, and his paintings revealed a delicate touch that matched no other hand. Verrocchio began trusting him more, assigning him tasks that required precision and artistic sensitivity. Leonardo helped prepare important commissions, painted portions of larger works, and even refined techniques used by the other apprentices. He learned from Verrocchio, but he also subtly improved the workshop as a whole, bringing freshness to its creations. It was during this period that Leonardo encountered the technique of sfumato, though it was not yet fully formed. He experimented with soft transitions between light and shadow, blending tones gently to mimic the way the eye perceives depth. Instead of harsh outlines, he used delicate gradients, creating a lifelike softness that later became one of his signatures. While other artists emphasized bold contrasts, Leonardo preferred subtlety. He believed beauty lived in transitions, not in extremes, and this philosophy quietly shaped the foundation of his artistic style. Despite his growing skill, Leonardo faced limitations. Being illegitimate meant he had fewer legal rights, and in some circles he was not taken as seriously as other apprentices. Yet this obstacle, instead of discouraging him, pushed him toward independence. He understood that mastery would be his path to recognition, not inheritance or social status. So he continued working quietly, choosing diligence over complaint, letting his art speak where his circumstances could not. In time, this silent strength became one of his defining qualities. Leonardo's curiosity extended far beyond painting. In the workshop, he studied sculpture, metalwork, mechanics, and design, absorbing each craft with the same intensity he brought to drawing. Verrocchio's workspace was filled with tools, gears, and half-finished sculptures, creating an environment where creativity and craftsmanship blended naturally. Leonardo learned how to shape clay, carve wood, and forge small metal components. Each skill broadened his understanding of form and structure, deepening his ability to observe and recreate the world around him. One of Leonardo's earliest personal projects involved studying the proportions of the human body. Although he was still young, he had already begun forming the ideas that would later become his famous anatomical drawings. He measured arms, hands, and faces, noting the relationships between different parts. These early explorations were simple but foundational. Leonardo believed that understanding proportion was the key to truth in art, and he approached this study with the same patience he applied to everything else. As Florence continued to flourish, Leonardo found himself surrounded by ideas that shaped his worldview. Scholars, architects, and artists gathered in the city's public spaces, discussing philosophy, mathematics, and new inventions. Leonardo listened quietly, absorbing concepts that others spent years studying. He was not a scholar in the traditional sense. He had limited formal education, yet he possessed a mind that connected ideas effortlessly. His curiosity bridged the gap between academic knowledge and practical observation, allowing him to learn in ways that were uniquely his own. One of the defining characteristics of Leonardo's early years was his ability to find beauty in complexity. While many artists focused on perfection in appearance, Leonardo focused on accuracy in nature. He wanted to understand why things looked the way they did, not just how to paint them. This deeper approach gave his work a natural harmony that viewers found calming and lifelike. Even his simplest sketches carried a sense of depth, as if they contained not just the image, but the essence of the subject. Leonardo's growth during these years did not go unnoticed. Other apprentices admired his skill, though some felt overshadowed by his quiet brilliance. Verrocchio, recognizing Leonardo's potential, began allowing him more creative freedom. Leonardo started taking on small, independent commissions, though he still relied heavily on the workshop's resources. With each project, he refined his techniques, adopting new methods and abandoning those that felt rigid or unnatural. His style, though still young, was evolving into something unmistakably his. At times, his curiosity led him to experiments that confused others. Leonardo would attempt new mixtures of pigments or test unusual methods for preparing surfaces. Some experiments worked beautifully, while others failed, leaving the workshop puzzled by his choices. But Leonardo saw experimentation as essential. To him, failure was not a setback, but a teacher, a quiet reminder that learning required patience and exploration. This mindset would become one of the central forces of his creativity throughout his life. By his mid-teens, Leonardo had become one of the most promising young talents in Florence. His work showed a depth of understanding far beyond his age, and his teachers recognized that he was on a path few could follow. Yet Leonardo never acted superior or arrogant. He remained humble, quiet, and deeply focused, always seeking to improve rather than impress. This calm discipline shaped not only his art, but also his character, making him a steady presence in the bustling world of the Renaissance. As his apprenticeship progressed, an important shift began to take place within Leonardo. He no longer saw himself merely as an artist in training. He began thinking like a creator, someone capable of shaping ideas, structures, and visions. The boundaries between crafts started to blur in his mind. Painting helped him understand anatomy. Sculpture taught him about three-dimensional forms. Mechanics revealed the hidden laws of movement. Everything was connected, and Leonardo saw these connections with unusual clarity. In the final years of his apprenticeship, Leonardo's talent matured to a point where Florence began to take notice. Though he had not yet created masterpieces, he had developed a reputation for precision and beauty. His drawings circulated among artists who admired their detail and softness. His contributions to larger works were praised for their lifelike quality. People spoke of him not just as a skilled apprentice, but as a young master in the making. Leonardo himself remained grounded, focused not on praise, but on quiet improvement. As Leonardo approached adulthood, a new question began to form. What would his life become beyond the workshop walls? Verrocchio had given him a foundation, but Leonardo's ambitions extended far beyond painting small sections of larger works. He wanted to explore new ideas, create independently, and pursue the mysteries that filled his notebooks. The world outside the workshop held endless possibilities, and Leonardo felt ready to step into them. This period marked the end of Leonardo's childhood and the beginning of his emergence as a true artist. The gentle hills of Vinci had given him curiosity, and Verrocchio's workshop had given him discipline. Now, as he stood on the edge of a new chapter, Leonardo was prepared to enter the world with skills, knowledge, and a mind shaped by quiet observation. Ahead of him lay opportunities to create works that would influence generations. But for now, he remained calm, steady, and grounded, carrying forward the lessons of his early life. Leonardo's transition from apprentice to independent artist unfolded gradually, shaped not by sudden events but by years of quiet growth. His time in Verrocchio's workshop had given him the skills he needed, yet he felt a gentle pull toward a wider horizon. As he matured, he began to sense that his path would not be confined to assisting others in large collaborative works. His mind held a mixture of restlessness and curiosity, drawing him toward new challenges. It was a feeling that grew stronger each day, whispering that the world beyond the workshop was waiting for him. Though he learned from Verrocchio, Leonardo was not meant to remain a student forever. As he entered his 20s, Florence began to recognize him as a promising young artist in his own right. Patrons who had once approached Verrocchio now looked more closely at Leonardo's contributions, noting the softness of his techniques and the clarity of his observation. His reputation grew quietly, spreading from one admirer to another until it became clear that he was ready to step beyond apprenticeship. With steady confidence, Leonardo registered with the Painters Guild in Florence, a significant step that marked his official emergence as an independent master. Becoming part of the guild did not mean Leonardo abandoned the workshop. He still visited, still absorbed knowledge, and still contributed to Verrocchio's projects. But now he worked with a new sense of identity, knowing that his name would appear on commissions and that his art could stand alone. This shift filled him with calm determination. He was no longer a boy learning from others. He was an artist shaping his own vision. The responsibilities placed upon him increased, but so did his freedom to explore ideas that had long rested quietly in his mind. One of Leonardo's first independent commissions was a painting for the Palace of the Signoria. Though the project was never completed, it signaled that the city recognized his talent. He approached the work with careful planning, sketching designs and studying compositions. Yet something within him hesitated. Leonardo often struggled with finishing pieces, not out of lack of skill, but because his curiosity drove him toward constant improvement. Each time he learned something new, he felt compelled to revise his earlier work. This pursuit of perfection became both a strength and a burden throughout his life. Despite occasional delays, Leonardo continued receiving smaller, more manageable commissions from wealthy families. These were opportunities to refine his techniques and express his evolving style. He painted portraits, religious scenes, and decorative works, each infused with a softness that set him apart from other artists. His lines were graceful, his colors gentle, and his compositions filled with quiet depth. Even in simple assignments, Leonardo approached the canvas as if uncovering a deeper truth hidden within the image. His clients appreciated the natural subtlety he brought to their requests. During this period, Leonardo's passion for understanding the world deepened. He carried small notebooks everywhere he went, filling them with observations, diagrams, and sketches. If he saw a person smiling, he studied the muscles that shaped the expression. When he watched birds fly, he filled pages with their movements. He observed water trickling down walls, mapping its pathways with careful strokes. These notebooks became extensions of his mind, collecting thoughts that wandered across disciplines. Though he was known as an artist, Leonardo did not see himself as limited to a single craft. In his eyes, knowledge flowed freely between art, science, and nature. Leonardo's observations often took him beyond Florence's streets and into the countryside. He enjoyed wandering alone, finding inspiration in nature the same way he had as a child in Vinci. The hills, rivers, and trees gave him a sense of peace and clarity. He studied the growth patterns of plants, the structure of geological formations, and the behavior of animals. These long walks provided space for ideas to unfold gently, allowing him to connect artistic and scientific insights in ways that felt natural and unforced. His creativity thrived when surrounded by the quiet rhythms of the natural world. Even with his growing reputation, Leonardo faced challenges. The competition among artists in Florence was fierce, and commissions often went to those with stronger political connections or established family names. Leonardo lacked both, and although his skill was exceptional, he sometimes struggled to secure large projects. Rather than push aggressively for recognition, he maintained a calm, steady approach. He trusted that his work would speak for itself in time. This patience, though admirable, occasionally placed him at a disadvantage in a city driven by ambition and influence. One of the most important developments in Leonardo's early independent years was his exploration of human anatomy. He believed that understanding the body from within was essential for creating realistic art. At first, he studied anatomy through books and diagrams, sketching bones, muscles, and joints with remarkable detail. But soon he sought more direct understanding. He began studying dissections under the guidance of physicians, observing the complex structures that lay beneath the skin. These early anatomical studies shaped his ability to portray the human form with unparalleled accuracy and sensitivity. This anatomical curiosity was not common among artists of the time. Many considered it unnecessary or even inappropriate. But Leonardo saw beauty in the mechanics of life, believing that art should reflect the true nature of its subjects. His sketches revealed a deep respect for the human body, capturing the delicate balance between structure and movement. These quiet explorations awakened within him a desire to understand the world not just visually, but fundamentally. Anatomy became one of the many scientific pursuits that would weave throughout his entire life. Leonardo's artistic style continued to evolve as he experimented with new techniques and ideas. He refined his use of sfumato, creating transitions so seamless that they seemed to dissolve into one another. He studied how light touched different surfaces, adjusting his brushwork to mimic the softness of reality. His compositions became more dynamic, filled with emotional subtlety and lifelike geometry. Each new work became a stepping stone toward artistic mastery, guided by his unwavering attention to detail and profound respect for nature. During this time, Leonardo also began developing inventions and engineering concepts. His mind often wandered toward machines, structures, and mechanisms that could improve life or reveal new possibilities. He sketched designs for bridges, tools, gears, and even early ideas for flying machines. These imaginative explorations did not distract him from art. They enriched it. By studying mechanics, Leonardo learned how physical forces shaped movement and form, which in turn informed his ability to represent these qualities in painting. His creativity was not divided but expanded, branching into multiple directions at once. Despite his talent, Leonardo sometimes felt overshadowed by older, more established artists in Florence. The city was home to great figures like Botticelli and Ghirlandaio, whose names carried influence. Leonardo's quiet nature meant he did not seek fame in the same way others did. He preferred small, thoughtful circles to public recognition. Yet the depth of his work ensured that he could not remain in obscurity for long. People who encountered his art often sensed something extraordinary in its softness and precision, something that set it apart from traditional styles. One of the defining qualities of Leonardo's early independent years was his tendency to pursue projects with slow, deliberate care. While many artists worked quickly to meet deadlines and satisfy patrons, Leonardo moved at a measured pace. Each line, each shadow, and each detail mattered deeply to him. This approach sometimes frustrated clients who expected faster results, but those who valued quality understood that Leonardo's process required patience. His calm method was a reflection of his personality, thoughtful, meticulous, and dedicated to deeper understanding. Leonardo's growing interest in science and engineering soon led to a relationship with the Medici family, the powerful rulers of Florence. The Medici were known for their support of artists and scholars, and their court became a hub of intellectual exchange. Leonardo found himself drawn to this environment where ideas flowed freely and creativity was encouraged. He began attending gatherings hosted by Lorenzo de' Medici, listening to discussions on philosophy, mathematics, politics, and art. The atmosphere stimulated his imagination and connected him with influential thinkers. Through the Medici, Leonardo gained access to resources and opportunities that expanded his creative horizons. He presented sketches, mechanical designs, and artistic studies to the court, demonstrating the breadth of his abilities. While some were intrigued, others found his ideas unconventional or overly ambitious. But Lorenzo appreciated Leonardo's innovative spirit, often supporting his experiments or recommending him for projects. This relationship provided Leonardo with protection, funding, and a wider audience, all crucial for an artist seeking to build a lasting career. During his time connected to the Medici court, Leonardo explored various artistic and engineering projects that blurred the line between imagination and practicality. He attempted to solve architectural problems such as improving fortifications and designing more efficient canals. He also studied fluid dynamics, observing how water flowed and interacted with different surfaces. These investigations were not merely academic. They helped him develop a scientific approach that informed both his engineering concepts and his art. Leonardo's intuition, combined with careful observation, made him a unique contributor to Renaissance innovation. As Leonardo matured, he began to sense that Florence, despite its richness, might not fully accommodate the magnitude of his creativity. Opportunities for large projects were limited, and although he was respected, he did not always receive the recognition he hoped for. The city's artistic climate was competitive, and established masters often secured the most prestigious commissions. Leonardo's quiet temperament meant he did not push himself forward aggressively, and his unconventional ideas sometimes made people hesitant to hire him for significant tasks. Yet he remained patient, trusting that the right opportunity would come. One such opportunity eventually emerged, though not in Florence. Word spread that the Duke of Milan, Ludovico Sforza, was seeking talented individuals for his court, engineers, artists, architects, and thinkers capable of contributing to the city's growth. Milan was becoming a major cultural and political center, and Ludovico desired to surround himself with men of skill. To Leonardo, this sounded like a place where his diverse talents could flourish. He prepared to leave Florence, knowing that the decision would mark a significant turning point in his life. Before departing, Leonardo gathered his notebooks and unfinished projects, reflecting on his years in Florence. He had grown from a quiet apprentice into a versatile artist and thinker, shaped by the city's vibrant culture and his own endless curiosity. Though he would miss the familiar streets and the intellectual gatherings of the Medici court, he felt ready for a new challenge. His time in Florence had laid the foundation for who he was becoming, but Milan would provide the stage for his next transformation, a place where his genius could expand without boundaries. As Leonardo prepared for the journey north, he crafted a letter to the Duke of Milan outlining his skills, not emphasizing painting, but engineering and invention. He offered designs for bridges, machines of war, architectural improvements, and artistic projects. This letter revealed something essential about Leonardo. He saw himself not just as an artist, but as a creator capable of shaping both beauty and utility. The letter impressed Ludovico, who invited Leonardo to his court, opening the door to a new chapter of growth and discovery. Leaving Florence was not a sudden event, but a quiet shift, reflecting Leonardo's calm and deliberate nature. He departed with dignity, grateful for the years he had spent learning, observing, and refining his craft. His heart carried the memory of the hills of Vinci, the lessons of Verrocchio, and the intellectual warmth of the Medici. These early influences would remain with him throughout his life, guiding his thoughts and shaping his creations. As he made his way toward Milan, Leonardo felt a gentle excitement, knowing that the next stage of his journey held endless possibilities. Milan awaited him with its own challenges, its own mysteries, and its own opportunities. The city was vibrant, powerful, and full of ambition, offering Leonardo a wider canvas on which to express his creativity. It was here, under the patronage of the Duke, that Leonardo would create some of his greatest works, exploring art and science with a freedom he had not fully experienced in Florence. His early struggles, quiet studies, and patient dedication had prepared him for this moment. Leonardo's arrival in Milan marked a gentle yet profound turning point in his life. The journey north had given him time to observe new landscapes, study unfamiliar faces, and reflect on the years behind him. Just as Florence had shaped him into a young artist, Milan would shape him into something much larger, a master whose name would echo through history. As he approached the city, its scale and structure impressed him. Milan was larger, more fortified, and more politically charged than Florence, a place where ambition and innovation intertwined in complex ways. Entering the court of Ludovico Sforza felt different from any environment Leonardo had known. The Duke, known as Il Moro, valued prestige and surrounded himself with artists, architects, musicians, and engineers. For Leonardo, this meant opportunity, a space where his diverse talents could be explored without the constraints he had felt in Florence. The court was a vibrant mixture of refinement and political tension, yet there was room for creativity, and Leonardo sensed that he had come to the right place. The Duke saw potential in him, not only as a painter, but as a visionary capable of transforming the city. Leonardo began his work in Milan by offering what he believed the Duke needed most: innovation. He presented designs for advanced war machines, architectural improvements, and systems that could strengthen Milan's defenses. Though many of these ideas were imaginative and ahead of their time, they impressed Ludovico, who appreciated Leonardo's blend of creativity and practicality. These proposals opened doors for him, granting access to resources, assistance, and the freedom to explore multiple fields. Leonardo quickly realized that Milan would not restrict him to a single identity. Here, he could be an artist, engineer, philosopher, and scientist all at once. His first major responsibilities in Milan involved engineering and court entertainment, rather than painting. Leonardo designed mechanical devices for festivals, theatrical stages, and celebrations, intricate systems that moved scenery with ease and created illusions that captivated audiences. These productions required not only artistic vision, but mechanical understanding, and Leonardo excelled at combining both. His stage designs became famous within the court, known for their elegance and clever use of motion. While this work might seem simple compared to his later achievements, it strengthened his reputation as a man capable of bringing imagination to life. Though he enjoyed creating mechanical wonders, Leonardo never strayed far from his artistic foundations. In Milan, he continued his studies of anatomy, perspective, and light. He spent hours sketching people in marketplaces, observing how they moved, how they smiled, how tension and emotion shaped their posture. He also began studying the effects of atmosphere on distant objects, refining techniques that would later influence his landscapes. The city's canals, architecture, and varied social life became a living textbook, offering endless details for him to examine. Leonardo immersed himself in study not through theory alone, but through direct observation. One of the most significant experiences during his early years in Milan was his role in designing a massive bronze horse intended to honor Francesco Sforza, the Duke's father. This project, known as the Gran Cavallo, consumed Leonardo for years. He studied horses obsessively, sketching their anatomy, understanding their movement, and analyzing their structure from every angle. He visited stables, watched soldiers train, and measured the proportions of living animals. His notebooks from this period reveal countless drawings of horses, elegant, precise, and filled with vitality. Leonardo approached the project as both an artist and an engineer, striving to create a sculpture that was not only beautiful, but structurally sound. The scale of the horse was unprecedented. It was intended to be the largest bronze statue ever created, towering above all who approached it. Leonardo designed complex systems for molding and casting the enormous figure, solving engineering challenges that would have intimidated others. He spent years preparing the clay model, refining every detail until it felt lifelike. When the model was finally completed, it stood nearly 24 feet tall, an extraordinary feat. People came from across the city to admire it, marveling at the realism and ambition of the work. Though the final bronze statue would never be cast due to the demands of war, the clay model alone secured Leonardo's reputation as a master of monumental design. While working on the Gran Cavallo, Leonardo also began one of the most important paintings of his career, The Last Supper. This project, commissioned for the monastery of Santa Maria delle Grazie, would challenge him in new and profound ways. The scene required balance, depth, emotion, and a sense of stillness that reflected its spiritual significance. Leonardo spent months studying the gestures of hands, the expressions of faces, and the subtle dynamics between individuals seated at a table. He wanted each figure to possess unique humanity, their own fears, doubts, and thoughts captured in a single moment. His approach differed from traditional depictions, and the monks watched with curiosity as he sketched, erased, and reworked ideas. Leonardo treated The Last Supper as both a narrative and a psychological study. He aimed to depict the instant Jesus announced that one of his disciples would betray him. In that moment, confusion, shock, disbelief, and sorrow spread across the table. Leonardo studied these emotions carefully, observing people in the streets, analyzing body language, and imagining how each disciple might react. His ability to capture such complex feelings came from years of patient observation and deep understanding of human nature. He worked slowly, ensuring that every detail contributed to the story. Leonardo's perfectionism meant that the painting progressed at an irregular pace. Sometimes he worked non-stop for hours, completely absorbed in the task. Other days he stood before the wall without touching it, simply contemplating the composition. The monks were puzzled, but Leonardo knew that haste would compromise the painting's depth. He preferred thoughtful progress to speed, believing that true art required careful reflection. His assistants often found him lost in thought, studying shadows, testing pigments, or sketching new variations of a single hand. This slow method became part of the painting's legend. In addition to his artistic pursuits, Leonardo continued exploring scientific concepts. Milan provided opportunities to study engineering, anatomy, geology, and even acoustics. He dissected corpses to better understand the muscles and structures beneath the skin. He drew mechanical systems, designed tools, and experimented with water flow as part of the city's canal improvements. His notebooks filled with diagrams, swirling water currents, mathematical patterns, gears, and architectural sketches. Leonardo viewed the world as a connected system, and Milan gave him the space to explore these connections freely. Leonardo's fascination with water grew into one of his most detailed scientific studies. He examined how water moved through channels, how it eroded surfaces, and how it formed waves. He believed water was the key to understanding nature itself, calling it the vehicle of all life. His sketches often resemble modern scientific diagrams, complete with arrows indicating direction and notes describing observations. These studies influenced his engineering designs, his architectural visions, and even the backgrounds of his paintings. Milan, with its extensive network of canals, served as a living laboratory for his experiments. Despite his growing influence, Leonardo remained humble and thoughtful. He treated his assistants with care, encouraging them to learn, experiment, and develop their own skills. He surrounded himself with musicians, mathematicians, and philosophers, creating an environment where ideas flowed freely. Leonardo loved music, believing it to be the closest art to painting in its ability to express emotion. He played the lyre and often performed at court events, where his musical talent impressed nobles. This harmony of artistic and scientific interests made him unique, even among the Renaissance's most gifted minds. One of Leonardo's lesser-known contributions during his years in Milan was his work on city planning. He sketched designs for ideal cities with improved sanitation, structured roads, and sophisticated waterways. These concepts were far ahead of their time and reflected his deep concern for public health and efficiency. Leonardo imagined multi-level streets, clean transport systems, and elegant architecture. Although his urban plans were never fully realized, they demonstrated his ability to think beyond immediate needs and envision a more organized, healthier future. Leonardo's relationship with the Duke was generally supportive, though not without challenges. Ludovico valued Leonardo's talent but was often preoccupied with political and financial pressures. War loomed over Milan, threatening the city's stability and consuming resources that could have funded Leonardo's projects. The Duke admired Leonardo's ideas, but could not always provide the means to bring them to life. Despite these difficulties, Leonardo remained committed to his work, knowing that creativity often thrived even in uncertain times. As the years passed, Leonardo's status in Milan grew. He became known not only as an artist, but as a thinker whose ideas could shape the world. His presence brought prestige to the court, and nobles sought his insight on matters ranging from art to machinery. Yet fame never changed his quiet nature. He continued to work slowly, observe carefully, and think deeply. His notebooks expanded, his sketches multiplied, and his mind moved between disciplines with effortless grace. It was during these years that Leonardo truly became the Renaissance ideal, a man of many talents united by curiosity. The completion of The Last Supper marked a defining moment in Leonardo's career. When the painting was revealed, it struck viewers with its beauty and emotional depth. The expressions were vivid, the composition balanced, and the atmosphere charged with spiritual tension. People traveled great distances to see it, marveling at the realism Leonardo had captured on the wall. The painting quickly became one of the most celebrated works of the Renaissance. Even though the experimental technique he used would later cause deterioration, the initial impact was extraordinary. Leonardo had created a masterpiece that transcended time. Yet, despite this success, challenges continued to shape Leonardo's life in Milan. The threat of war grew stronger, and political tensions placed strain on the court. Resources became scarce, and some of Leonardo's long-term projects were put on hold. He found himself working between artistic commissions, engineering tasks, and scientific studies, balancing his obligations with his personal curiosity. Though the environment was uncertain, Leonardo remained steady, adapting to new circumstances with calm resilience. Creativity for him was both refuge and purpose. One of the most touching aspects of Leonardo's time in Milan was his mentorship of younger artists. He believed that knowledge was meant to be shared, not guarded. He taught technique through demonstration, showing how to blend colors, study anatomy, and capture light. He encouraged students to observe nature directly rather than rely on tradition. Many of his assistants later became respected artists in their own right. Leonardo's generosity of spirit ensured that his influence spread far beyond his own creations. As political turmoil escalated, it became clear that Leonardo's time in Milan was approaching a transition. Foreign powers threatened the city, and Ludovico's position weakened. The atmosphere grew tense as alliances shifted and uncertainty filled the court. Leonardo continued working, but he sensed that the stability he had enjoyed for so many years was slipping away. He began preparing quietly for change, gathering his notebooks and unfinished projects, knowing that he might soon need to move again. When Milan finally fell to invading forces, Leonardo left the city he had called home for nearly 2 decades. The departure was calm, quiet, and dignified, a reflection of his nature. He carried with him not just physical belongings, but years of knowledge, studies, and memories. Milan had shaped him into a master, giving him the freedom to explore art, science, engineering, and philosophy. Though he left the city behind, the experiences he gained there remained with him forever. As Leonardo stepped away from Milan, he entered a new chapter of his life, one filled with movement, exploration, and continued discovery. But the foundation he had built in the Duke's court remained at the core of his genius. The ideas formed in Milan would influence his later work, guiding him as he navigated new cities and new patrons. Leonardo's departure from Milan came quietly, without dramatic farewells or grand announcements. The fall of Ludovico Sforza's court had reshaped the city, scattering its artists, scholars, and engineers in many directions. For Leonardo, it felt like the closing of an important chapter, one that had given him nearly 2 decades of growth, exploration, and creation. Yet he did not leave with sorrow or regret. He carried with him a calm acceptance, a gentle understanding that life, like nature, moves in cycles, each ending opening the door to something new. As he journeyed away from Milan, Leonardo traveled with a small entourage of assistants, notebooks, tools, and unfinished ideas. The notebooks were his most treasured possessions, filled with sketches, observations, and inventions gathered over years of patient study. Moving from place to place, he continued to write and draw, capturing the landscapes he passed and the thoughts that surfaced during long stretches of travel. These wanderings gave him space to think, reflect, and observe. He never considered travel a disruption. Rather, it was a continuation of his education. Leonardo's first destination after leaving Milan was Venice, a city unlike any he had known. Built on water, it gleamed under soft sunlight, its reflections shifting gently across its canals. Venice thrived on commerce, diplomacy, and the arts, making it an ideal place for someone of Leonardo's diverse talents. Upon his arrival, the Venetian leadership sought his expertise in military engineering, fearing threats from neighboring powers. Leonardo responded with carefully crafted designs for defensive structures, ways to divert water, and even concepts for early submarines. His time there, though short, demonstrated how seamlessly he adapted to new environments. While in Venice, Leonardo immersed himself in observing the movement of water. The city's tidal patterns, flowing canals, and intricate waterways offered endless material for study. He sketched waves, currents, and ripples with precise attention, seeking to understand the principles that governed them. Water had long fascinated him, and Venice deepened that fascination. He believed water was both a force of creation and destruction, shaping landscapes and influencing life itself. His observations later informed his engineering designs, his art, and even his philosophical reflections. Despite the intellectual stimulation Venice provided, Leonardo did not remain long. The city valued his ideas, but the environment lacked the stability and long-term opportunities he needed. After completing his work, he moved on again, traveling through the countryside with his assistants. These journeys were filled with moments of quiet contemplation. Leonardo often paused to sketch villages, forests, and mountains, capturing the soft gradients of distant horizons. This movement from city to city allowed him to gather inspiration from varied landscapes and cultures, adding richness to his later works. Eventually, Leonardo found himself returning to Florence, the city where his artistic journey had truly begun. Though years had passed since he last walked its streets, Florence remained vibrant and full of creative energy. The Medici family had regained influence, and their court was once again a gathering place for thinkers, artists, and inventors. Leonardo was welcomed back warmly, his reputation having grown considerably since his youth. Yet Florence had also changed. New artists had risen to prominence, including a young sculptor named Michelangelo, whose bold style contrasted sharply with Leonardo's gentle subtlety. Leonardo resumed work in Florence with a sense of renewed purpose. He accepted commissions, studied the city's changing landscape, and engaged in discussions with scholars and artists. It was during this period that he began one of his most famous works, the Battle of Anghiari, a monumental mural intended for the Palazzo Vecchio. The project was ambitious, filled with intense motion, expressive faces, and intricate compositions. Leonardo approached it with the same meticulous planning that defined his earlier masterpieces, studying horses, soldiers, and the dynamics of conflict with extraordinary detail. The Battle of Anghiari presented unique challenges. Leonardo attempted to use an experimental technique involving oil paints applied to a dry wall, hoping to achieve richer tones and smoother transitions. However, the technique proved unstable. Sections of the mural failed to adhere properly, causing frustration and delays. Leonardo worked patiently to salvage the piece, but the process became increasingly difficult. Despite the challenges, the surviving sketches and accounts reveal that the mural possessed remarkable power and movement, capturing the tension of battle with emotional depth. During this time, Leonardo faced competition from Michelangelo, who had been commissioned to paint a different battle scene for the same hall. Their contrasting styles, Leonardo's soft realism versus Michelangelo's muscular intensity, created a quiet rivalry. While Leonardo respected Michelangelo's skill, he remained focused on his own work, preferring contemplation over conflict. The city sensed the tension between the two masters, yet both continued their projects with professionalism. Though neither mural would ultimately survive, their influence on Florentine art was profound. Florence provided Leonardo with more than artistic challenges. It also offered opportunities for scientific study. He deepened his anatomical research, dissecting human and animal bodies to understand internal structures. His drawings from this period reveal astonishing precision, detailed renderings of muscles, organs, and skeletal systems that remain impressive even today. Leonardo approached anatomy with reverence. Seeing the body as a masterpiece of natural design, he believed that only through understanding its mechanics could he fully portray human expression and movement in his art. Leonardo's scientific curiosity extended to geology, botany, and architecture. He studied rock formations, drawing layers of sediment with careful lines. He analyzed the growth patterns of plants, noting how they reached toward light and responded to their environment. He sketched architectural improvements, imagining buildings that balanced beauty and functionality. These studies revealed a mind that saw unity in all things, connecting disciplines in ways centuries ahead of his time. For Leonardo, nature was a vast book filled with knowledge waiting to be read. Despite his accomplishments, Leonardo often felt the weight of unfinished projects. His perfectionism, combined with his boundless curiosity, made it difficult for him to complete large commissions. New ideas constantly emerged, drawing his attention away from ongoing tasks. Some patrons grew impatient, but those who understood Leonardo recognized that his process required freedom. His creativity did not follow linear paths, it branched outward, exploring possibilities before settling into form. This restlessness was part of his genius, though it sometimes complicated his professional relationships. As political tensions rose in Florence, Leonardo once again found himself seeking a more stable environment. The Medici supported him, but the city's volatile atmosphere made long-term work difficult. He began receiving offers from other regions, including Rome and France. Each invitation presented new opportunities, new patrons, and new landscapes to explore. Leonardo weighed these possibilities carefully, understanding that his next move would shape the trajectory of his later years. He remained calm, thoughtful, and guided by quiet intuition. During this period of uncertainty, Leonardo continued developing his engineering concepts. He designed systems for water management, improved tools, and machines for lifting heavy objects. His engineering notebooks from this time contain sketches of gears, pulleys, and mechanical devices that foreshadow modern inventions. Though many of these designs remained theoretical, they demonstrated his ability to envision technology far ahead of his era. Leonardo saw machines as extensions of human capability, tools that could reshape society if used wisely. One of Leonardo's most enduring studies from this chapter of his life was his exploration of flight. Fascinated by birds since childhood, he believed that understanding their wings and movements could lead to human flight. He sketched wing structures, feather patterns, and aerodynamic principles with astonishing precision. He designed gliders, flying machines, and even early helicopter concepts. Though none of these were realized during his lifetime, his work laid the foundation for future aeronautics. Leonardo saw flight not as fantasy, but as a natural extension of observing the world carefully. As he continued his work in Florence, Leonardo spent time teaching younger artists who admired his gentle approach and profound observations. He encouraged them to study the world closely, to question assumptions, and to embrace patience. His studio became a place of learning, where students practiced drawing, composition, and scientific study. Leonardo believed that great art required more than technique. It required curiosity, humility, and a willingness to learn from nature. His mentorship helped shape the next generation of artists. Eventually, circumstances led Leonardo to accept an invitation to Rome, where he served under the patronage of the powerful Vatican. The city offered new challenges and opportunities, though Leonardo found its atmosphere more formal and restricted compared to Florence and Milan. Yet he adapted, continuing his scientific work, engineering studies, and artistic explorations. Rome's libraries, scholars, and architectural wonders inspired him, adding new layers to his understanding of the world. Though he completed fewer major paintings during this period, his notebooks expanded with intricate studies and observations. Leonardo's time and motion, traveling from Milan to Venice, from Florence to Rome, revealed a life guided not by fame or wealth, but by curiosity. Each city offered lessons, challenges, and discoveries that enriched his mind. He approached every environment with the same quiet attention that had defined his childhood in Vinci. Whether surrounded by scholars or wandering alone through the countryside, Leonardo never lost his sense of wonder. His life was a journey of continuous observation, learning, and reflection. Leonardo's arrival in Rome came at a moment when the city stood at the height of its influence. The Vatican, powerful and deeply invested in the arts, had become a thriving center of intellectual and creative activity. Great minds gathered there under papal patronage, architects, painters, sculptors, engineers, all contributing to the city's transformation. For Leonardo, Rome offered prestige, resources, and access to some of the most respected scholars in Europe. Yet despite the promise the city held, he approached it with quiet watchfulness, understanding that each new environment required time to truly reveal itself. As he settled into his quarters provided by the Medici family, Leonardo resumed his familiar rhythm. He kept his notebooks close, filling them with sketches and observations from his walks around Rome. The city's ancient ruins fascinated him. He studied the arches, columns, and remnants of past civilizations, contemplating how such structures were built with limited tools. These ruins were more than old stones to Leonardo. They were lessons from history, silent teachers that spoke through geometry, proportion, and endurance. Each site he visited added another layer to his understanding of architecture and engineering. Leonardo's responsibilities in Rome were varied but often subtle. While other artists were given large fresco commissions, Leonardo was asked to advise on engineering projects, hydraulic systems, and artistic matters that required delicate insight. He offered designs for improved drainage, fortifications, and water management, areas in which he had long demonstrated expertise. Yet many of his proposals were not implemented, not due to lack of merit, but because the city's priorities were constantly shifting. Leonardo understood these limitations and continued working patiently, focusing on exploration rather than immediate results. One of the central tensions Leonardo faced in Rome was the presence of rising artistic forces. Younger artists, such as Raphael and Michelangelo, were gaining significant attention, their bold styles capturing the admiration of patrons. Raphael's gentle elegance and Michelangelo's dramatic power stood in contrast to Leonardo's subtle, contemplative approach. Though Leonardo respected their talent, he sensed that the artistic climate of Rome was evolving toward a direction different from his own. He did not compete with them openly. Competition did not interest him. Instead, he retreated deeper into study, where he found calm and purpose. Despite this changing environment, Leonardo continued developing ideas that had occupied him for years. He devoted significant time to anatomy, working alongside physicians and scholars. Rome offered access to medical facilities that allowed him to conduct detailed dissections, leading to some of his most precise anatomical drawings. His studies revealed the structure of the human body with unprecedented accuracy. The branching of veins, the layering of muscles, the mechanics of joints. Leonardo approached each drawing not merely as a scientific record, but as an expression of reverence for the complexity of life. Leonardo also deepened his research into botanical and geological subjects. He sketched plants with remarkable sensitivity, capturing the curvature of stems, the pattern of leaves, and the geometry of growth. He observed rock formations, studying how layers built upon one another over time. These interests reflected his belief that nature followed universal laws, and that understanding these laws required patient observation. For Leonardo, art and science were never separate. They were parallel paths leading toward the same truth. During his time in Rome, Leonardo also explored optical studies, seeking to understand how the eye perceived light, shadow, and color. He performed experiments with lenses, prisms, and reflections, trying to grasp how images formed inside the human eye. These investigations were essential to his artistic practice, helping him refine his use of light and shadow. While others saw these studies as distractions, Leonardo recognized them as integral to his ability to portray the world faithfully. His notebooks from this period contain diagrams that anticipate principles modern optics would later confirm. Yet, despite his dedication, Leonardo often felt constrained in Rome. The court atmosphere was formal and hierarchical, leaving little room for unconventional ideas. He found that many of his proposals were met with hesitation, not because they lacked brilliance, but because they challenged established norms. Leonardo's mind moved freely between disciplines, but Rome's structure sometimes limited that movement. He longed for more flexibility, a place where his curiosity could unfold without constraint. This quiet frustration grew slowly, though he remained calm and composed on the surface. One of the more difficult moments for Leonardo in Rome was witnessing the rising fame of younger artists. Raphael's career flourished, with commissions filling the Vatican's chambers. Michelangelo's work on the Sistine Chapel ceiling captivated the entire city. While Leonardo admired their achievements, he also sensed a shift in artistic taste. The world was gravitating toward bold expression and sweeping narratives, a style far from the soft, contemplative realism he had spent years perfecting. This was not discouragement, it was simply recognition that he lived in a world constantly evolving. Despite these shifting artistic trends, Leonardo continued mentoring young artists and scholars who visited him. His studio in Rome became a place of quiet study, where students learned not only technique, but observation. Leonardo encouraged them to look closely at nature, to draw from life, and to question everything. He believed that true understanding came not from memorizing rules, but from engaging deeply with the world. His students admired his calm manner and the generosity with which he shared his knowledge. During this period, Leonardo also developed new mechanical designs, including machines for grinding concave mirrors, improved tools for sculptors, and early concepts for automated devices. He experimented with chemical mixtures, pigments, and varnishes, seeking to improve artistic materials. Many of these experiments ended in failure, but Leonardo saw value in every attempt. Each failure clarified something, revealing a path to improvement. He accepted the slow pace of discovery with patience, recognizing that meaningful progress required time. As years passed, Leonardo found himself increasingly distant from Rome's political center. The Vatican grew more focused on monumental projects, while Leonardo's interdisciplinary curiosity made him difficult to categorize. He began longing for a patron who valued not only his artistic skill, but his scientific insight. It was during this time that an unexpected opportunity emerged, an invitation from the King of France. Francis I, known for his appreciation of art and intellect, admired Leonardo deeply and wished to bring him to his court. The invitation arrived at a moment when Leonardo was ready for change. He felt gratitude for his time in Rome, but he sensed that his journey there had reached its natural end. The warmth and enthusiasm from the French king offered something different, a place where he could spend his later years exploring ideas freely without the pressures of political competition. With calm acceptance, Leonardo prepared to leave Rome, gathering his notebooks, tools, and trusted companions. His departure was quiet, reflecting the way he approached all of life's transitions. He said farewell to the city that had given him knowledge, challenges, and memories, then began his journey north toward France. As he traveled, he continued sketching the landscapes, capturing the subtle shifts in light and rain. These drawings held a sense of peace, as though Leonardo's mind was gradually settling into a gentler rhythm. He sensed that France would offer a more tranquil environment for the final stage of his life. The journey to the French court allowed Leonardo time to reflect on his years of study, creation, and movement. Rome had expanded his scientific understanding, challenged his artistic identity, and shaped his perspective on the world. Though he completed fewer major paintings during this period, the knowledge he gained became a foundation for many of his later insights. He carried with him not a sense of incompletion, but quiet fulfillment, the feeling that each chapter of his life had given him what he needed. As he approached France, Leonardo felt a calm anticipation. He knew the years ahead would be different from those he had spent in bustling courts and competitive artistic circles. The French king valued him not only as a master painter, but as a thinker whose curiosity could illuminate new paths. Leonardo sensed that this final chapter of his life might be the most peaceful of all, a time for reflection, teaching, and gentle creation. Leonardo's arrival in France marked the beginning of a gentle and reflective chapter in his life. He was welcomed with warmth and admiration by King Francis I, a monarch known for his deep appreciation of art, learning, and innovation. The king regarded Leonardo not merely as a painter, but as a treasure, a living embodiment of Renaissance genius. This reception brought Leonardo a sense of peace that had long eluded him in the shifting politics of Italy. For the first time in many years, he felt truly valued for the breadth of his curiosity, not just specific creations. King Francis provided Leonardo with a home at Clos-Lucé, a quiet residence near the royal chateau at Amboise. The estate sat amid soft rolling hills, trees that swayed gently with the wind, and gardens filled with delicate light. Leonardo found comfort in its tranquility. After decades of constant travel, commissions, unfinished projects, and political uncertainty, Clos-Lucé felt like a sanctuary. Here, the pressures of competition fell away. No one demanded murals completed on impossible timelines or sculptures built on unprecedented scales. The king simply wanted Leonardo's presence, his insights, his wisdom, his creativity. Despite growing older and experiencing the gradual slowing of his hands, Leonardo remained deeply active in his mind. His notebooks continued to fill with sketches, studies, and reflections. He wrote about water, anatomy, flight, and geometry, exploring questions that had occupied him for decades. Though he could no longer execute large paintings with the ease he once had, he found fulfillment in teaching and advising. Assistants, students, and young scholars visited him regularly, seeking guidance on art, engineering, and the natural world. Leonardo welcomed them into his studio with gentle patience, sharing lessons shaped by a lifetime of observation. At Clos-Lucé, Leonardo also worked closely with King Francis, who often visited him to discuss ideas and inventions. The king treated him as a trusted friend, not merely a court artisan. They walked through the gardens, speaking about philosophy, architecture, and the mechanics of the natural world. Francis admired Leonardo's kindness, humility, and depth of thought, often saying that no man had ever possessed such understanding. These conversations brought Leonardo joy, reminding him that even in his later years, his mind held value and purpose. Though Leonardo completed fewer major works during his time in France, he continued refining drawings and concepts he had developed earlier. He made adjustments to designs for ideal cities, reworked studies of river systems, and refined diagrams of mechanical devices. Much of his energy went into organizing and expanding his notebooks, aware that they might serve future generations. Leonardo understood that while paintings could fade, ideas recorded carefully on paper had the potential to inspire long after his lifetime. He approached this task with quiet determination, shaping his legacy in ink and reflection. One of the most touching aspects of Leonardo's final years was the companionship he found in his assistants. Among them was Francesco Melzi, a young nobleman from Milan who had studied under Leonardo for many years. Melzi stayed by his side in France, assisting with daily tasks, helping compile notebooks, and learning from his master's intellect. Their relationship was built on mutual respect and genuine affection. Leonardo saw in Melzi a continuation of the curiosity and gentleness he valued most, someone who would care for his work after he was gone. As time passed, Leonardo's health began to decline. He experienced occasional paralysis in his right hand, making it difficult to paint with the precision that once defined his work. Yet, he did not view this as a tragedy. Instead, he shifted his focus toward writing, teaching, and contemplation. Leonardo believed that the mind could remain fertile even as the body aged, and he embraced these quieter pursuits with grace. He still sketched with his left hand when possible, capturing landscapes, faces, and mechanical ideas with the same thoughtful attention that had guided his entire life. The atmosphere at Clos-Lucé remained peaceful, offering Leonardo space to reflect on the journey that had brought him there. He thought of the hills of Vinci, where his curiosity first awakened, the workshop in Florence, where his artistic discipline took shape, the bustling court of Milan, where his talents flourished, and the many cities where he wandered, studied, and dreamed. Each chapter had given him something essential: knowledge, inspiration, resilience. France allowed him to gather these fragments and hold them gently, like pages of a book he had spent a lifetime writing. In his later reflections, Leonardo often returned to the idea that art and science were inseparable. He believed that beauty revealed truth, and truth revealed beauty. This philosophy had shaped every aspect of his work, from the soft transitions of his paintings to the intricate designs of his machines. In France, he dedicated time to articulating these ideas more clearly, hoping that future thinkers would build upon them. His notebooks became not just records but teachings, a final offering to the world he had spent so long trying to understand. Leonardo also spent time refining his thoughts on nature. He believed that all living things followed patterns, and that by studying these patterns, humans could glimpse the intelligence behind creation. He wrote about the flow of rivers, the branching of trees, the movement of clouds, and the spiral of shells. These writings were poetic in their clarity, revealing a mind that saw harmony in every detail. Even as his body weakened, Leonardo's fascination with nature remained undiminished, as if each observation still carried the wonder of childhood. King Francis continued to show Leonardo great affection, visiting him frequently and ensuring that he lacked nothing. The king admired his gentle manner, often calling him "father," a term of respect that reflected their bond. Francis valued Leonardo not for his past achievements, but for the kindness and wisdom he offered in the present. This companionship brought comfort to Leonardo, who appreciated the king's sincerity and generosity. It was a rare relationship between ruler and artist, one built on mutual admiration rather than obligation. As Leonardo's health continued to decline, he became aware that his life was approaching its final phase. Yet he felt no fear. He believed that all living things were part of a natural cycle, and that death was simply another transformation. He spent his remaining strength organizing his manuscripts, instructing his assistants, and sharing final insights. These days were quiet, filled with gentle conversations, soft light, and the rustling of pages as he reviewed decades of work. There was a sense of calm acceptance that surrounded him, a peace earned through a lifetime spent observing life with patience and humility. In his final weeks, Leonardo dedicated much of his time to reflection. He looked back on the moments of triumph and struggle, the unfinished projects, the masterpieces that changed the world, and the discoveries that few had yet recognized. He understood that no human life could hold everything, and that incompletion was part of existence. Yet he also knew that he had contributed something meaningful, a way of seeing the world with curiosity, wonder, and compassion. His legacy would not be measured solely in paintings or inventions, but in the spirit of inquiry he embodied. Leonardo passed away on May 2, 1519, in the quiet rooms of Clos Lucé. He was surrounded by those who loved him, including his faithful companion Francesco Melzi. King Francis, upon hearing of his death, mourned deeply, saying that no other man had ever possessed such breadth of understanding. The world lost not just an artist, but a thinker whose mind had embraced the vast tapestry of nature, science, and human emotion. Yet Leonardo's spirit lived on through the ideas preserved in his notebooks, the masterpieces he left behind, and the countless individuals inspired by his vision. After his passing, Melzi took responsibility for preserving Leonardo's papers, safeguarding the thousands of drawings and writings that held the essence of his life's work. These notebooks would travel through time, scattered across Europe, gradually revealing the brilliance of the man who created them. Many of Leonardo's ideas would only be understood centuries later, reminding the world that true genius often unfolds slowly, waiting for the right moment to be recognized. Through Melzi's devotion, Leonardo's voice continued to whisper across generations. France honored Leonardo's memory with quiet reverence. The gardens of Clos Lucé remained a place of reflection, where visitors felt the lingering presence of the master who had walked among them. The king himself carried Leonardo's teachings into his court, spreading his appreciation for art and intellect throughout France. Leonardo's final sanctuary became a symbol of peace, a reminder that even a life filled with movement and discovery can find rest in stillness. The world grew richer because he had spent his last years in a place where his mind could wander freely. In the quiet days following Leonardo da Vinci's passing, the rooms of Clos Lucé held a gentle stillness. The tools he used, the notebooks he filled, and the sketches he left behind remained exactly where his hands had last placed them. Those who had known him moved through the estate softly, as if not to disturb the lingering presence of a man whose life had unfolded with such thoughtful grace. Although Leonardo was gone, his influence lingered in the quiet air that filled the halls, a reminder that some lives continue long after the body rests. The world did not fully understand it yet, but the legacy he left behind would grow larger with every passing century. Francesco Melzi, Leonardo's devoted assistant and companion, took upon himself the task of honoring his master's final wishes. Of all the people who had walked beside Leonardo, Melzi understood him most deeply. The calm nature, the restless curiosity, the gentle pursuit of truth in every detail of life. After Leonardo's death, Melzi gathered the thousands of pages of notebooks, sketches, letters, and scientific writings, treating each sheet as if it were a fragile treasure. He knew these papers were more than drawings. They were the map of Leonardo's mind, traces of ideas that could reshape the world if protected properly. With quiet devotion, he organized them, intending to preserve everything for posterity. At first, Leonardo's influence seemed most present within the French court. King Francis III mourned him sincerely, speaking of him as a man whose knowledge stretched beyond ordinary understanding. The king frequently shared stories of their conversations, recalling how Leonardo spoke of rivers, machines, and the human heart with equal passion and clarity. Francis encouraged others to study Leonardo's work, hoping that France would become a home for the intellectual spirit Leonardo embodied. Yet even with the king's admiration, the true breadth of Leonardo's genius remained hidden within those notebooks Melzi carried, unseen, unread, and waiting for the right time to be understood. In the years immediately following Leonardo's death, his reputation lived primarily through his paintings. Works such as the Mona Lisa, the Last Supper, and the Virgin of the Rocks continued to inspire awe. Artists studied the softness of his transitions, the emotion in his expressions, and the subtle geometry that guided his compositions. His techniques, especially the use of sfumato, influenced countless painters across Italy and France. Yet even with this recognition, many people still viewed him simply as a great artist, unaware that in truth they had witnessed only a fraction of his brilliance. The scientific and engineering mind behind the art remained largely concealed. Meanwhile, Melzi preserved Leonardo's manuscripts with unwavering care. He understood that these writings held discoveries no one else had imagined: early studies of flight, diagrams of the human body, designs for machines centuries ahead of their time. Melzi spent years copying, organizing, and annotating the notebooks, hoping that scholars would someday appreciate their significance. But as time passed, the reality of life gradually pulled Melzi into other responsibilities. After his death, the notebooks began to scatter, passing through hands that often did not recognize their value. Some were sold, others were traded, and a few were misplaced entirely. What had once been a unified body of work slowly fragmented across Europe. As Leonardo's manuscripts dispersed, their influence became indirect but profound. Scholars in different countries discovered sections of his writings and marveled at their insight. Engineers stumbled upon sketches of bridges and machines that seemed astonishingly modern. Anatomists found diagrams so precise that they surpassed the medical textbooks of the era. These individual discoveries spread quietly, shaping fields without the world realizing they originated from the same mind. Leonardo's ideas, though scattered, began weaving themselves into the progress of science and art. The Renaissance continued to evolve long after Leonardo's passing, yet his influence remained embedded within its core. Painters embraced the depth and realism he had pioneered. Scientists followed the observational methods he championed, and engineers drew inspiration from the intricate designs he had left behind. Leonardo had bridged the worlds of art and science in a way that future generations would strive to emulate. His legacy was not loud or immediate, it was subtle, much like the man himself. It moved quietly through the centuries, encountering those who were ready to receive it. During the 16th and 17th centuries, the world forgot parts of Leonardo's genius. Wars, political changes, and shifting artistic movements overshadowed some of his contributions. The surviving manuscripts remained tucked away in private collections, their significance obscured by time. Yet even in obscurity, Leonardo's influence endured. Small fragments of his ideas surfaced in the work of engineers and scholars who unknowingly built upon foundations he had laid. The seeds he planted continued to grow, even when no one saw the gardener who had placed them. It wasn't until the late 18th and 19th centuries that Leonardo's reputation experienced a profound revival. Scholars began rediscovering his notebooks, realizing that he had explored principles long before modern science gave them names. Concepts related to flight dynamics, human anatomy, hydrodynamics, and optics appeared in his delicate script, accompanied by sketches more precise than those in contemporary scientific literature. Historians marveled at the fact that one man had anticipated so many aspects of the modern world. They saw him not only as an artist, but as an engineer, a scientist, a philosopher, and a visionary thinker. This rediscovery reshaped the world's understanding of Leonardo. He became not merely a Renaissance painter, but a figure whose intellect transcended his era. People began to see the unity in his work, how his anatomical studies informed his paintings, how his engineering concepts grew from observations of nature, and how his philosophical reflections tied everything together. Leonardo had not separated disciplines, he had woven them into a tapestry of curiosity. The world, now more scientifically advanced, finally possessed the tools to appreciate the full extent of his genius. As the 19th century progressed, museums, collectors, and scholars searched for any surviving pieces of Leonardo's work. His manuscripts slowly resurfaced in libraries across Europe, each discovery adding another piece to the puzzle of his mind. Collections such as the Codex Atlanticus, the Codex Arundel, and the Codex Leicester revealed the astonishing diversity of his thoughts. These volumes contained diagrams of machines, studies of water flow, sketches of flying devices, maps of human anatomy, and philosophical musings on nature. People began studying the notebooks as if opening a long-locked door to knowledge forgotten by time. The modern world embraced Leonardo with admiration that grew with each passing decade. Engineers found inspiration in his mechanical drawings, scientists marveled at his biological studies, and artists studied his compositions with renewed respect. His ideas appeared in textbooks, classrooms, and laboratories. He became a symbol of curiosity, a reminder that the desire to understand the world could produce insights far ahead of one's own time. Leonardo's name became synonymous with creativity that knew no boundaries. his legacy, once quiet and scattered, emerged in full clarity. In the 20th century, Leonardo's influence reached new heights as technology made it possible to test some of his visionary concepts. Engineers reconstructed his flying machines, discovering that many of them could function in principle. Medical professionals compared his anatomical drawings to modern imaging, amazed at their accuracy. Art historians uncovered new layers in his paintings, studying the techniques he had used to create emotion and depth. Leonardo was no longer just a figure of historical interest. He became a continuing source of innovation, inspiring breakthroughs centuries after his lifetime. The Mona Lisa, once admired quietly, grew into a global icon. Her expression, filled with gentle ambiguity, captivated millions. The painting became a symbol of Leonardo's ability to capture psychological depth and subtle emotion. Visitors from around the world traveled to see her, drawn not only by the painting's beauty but by the presence of the artist behind it. The mysterious smile carried centuries of interpretation, each observer finding something different within it. Just as Leonardo intended, his art, like his mind, invited endless exploration. The Last Supper, though damaged by time and weather, continued to be studied and preserved with care. Scholars analyzed its composition, marveling at how Leonardo had captured a moment of emotional intensity with such clarity. Even in its fragile state, the work remained one of the most influential paintings in Western art. Its significance reached beyond religious symbolism, representing Leonardo's ability to blend narrative, science, and emotion into a single, harmonious scene. The painting's survival became a symbol of resilience, a testament to the depth of Leonardo's vision. As the centuries unfolded, Leonardo came to represent the ideal Renaissance human, curious, multidisciplinary, and deeply connected to the natural world. He showed future generations that creativity is not confined to one craft, and that understanding grows richer when disciplines intersect. Leonardo's notebooks reveal that he saw the world not as separate parts, but as a unified whole, where art, science, nature, and philosophy flowed together. This holistic approach became a guiding principle for countless innovators, researchers, and artists. Today, Leonardo's legacy continues to expand. His manuscripts are digitized, studied by scholars worldwide, and preserved with extraordinary care. Exhibitions dedicated to his work attract millions, reflecting a global fascination with his mind. Scientists still analyze his observations, finding surprising accuracy and insight. Engineers look to his designs for inspiration in robotics, aerodynamics, and architecture. Artists continue to learn from the subtlety of his portraits and the softness of his shading. Leonardo remains a timeless teacher, one whose lessons transcend borders and generations. But perhaps the most enduring part of Leonardo's legacy is the spirit he embodied, a gentle, persistent curiosity. He approached the world with the eyes of a child and the mind of a philosopher. He questioned everything, studied relentlessly, and sought beauty in truth. He believed that knowledge grew through observation, patience, and humility. This spirit continues to inspire those who feel drawn to understand the world more deeply. Through them, Leonardo da Vinci lives on not only in museums and books, but in the quiet spark of curiosity that resides in every human heart. Leonardo's legacy lives not only in the works he created or the discoveries he recorded, but in the quiet philosophies that guided every moment of his life. To understand Leonardo fully, one must step gently into the inner landscape of his thoughts. The way he observed the world, the way he sought meaning, and the way he shaped his identity through curiosity. His mind did not move quickly or erratically. It wandered with purpose, circling ideas repeatedly until their depth revealed itself. This chapter explores the inner teachings that shaped Leonardo's journey, the principles he carried from childhood to old age, and the philosophies that made his genius both gentle and profound. From an early age, Leonardo believed that learning began with the eyes. He considered sight the most powerful of human senses, the gateway through which truth entered the mind. To him, observation was not passive, it was an active form of understanding. He wrote that the eye sees the reality of things, while words often distort them. This belief shaped his approach to both art and science. Leonardo watched the world with extraordinary patience, studying shadows across a face, the arc of a bird's flight, or the swirl of water in a stream. He believed that nature spoke quietly to those who took the time to look. Leonardo's journals often reflect on the discipline of attention. He encouraged himself to notice even the smallest details, the pattern of wrinkles around an elderly smile, the way light softened along the horizon at dusk, the delicate architecture of a leaf. To most people, these details passed unnoticed, fading into the background of daily life. But Leonardo saw in them the key to understanding everything. He believed that truth lived in the smallest details, and by capturing them, he could reveal the hidden nature of the world. His mind was never bored, it was always observing. One of Leonardo's core philosophies was the conviction that everything is connected. He saw the natural world as a single, harmonious system, each part influencing the others. This idea guided his interdisciplinary approach. Anatomy informed his painting. Optics shaped his shading. Engineering taught him about movement. Water flow patterns helped him understand the human heart. To Leonardo, learning one thing meant learning many things. The world unfolded in layers, and each discovery revealed a deeper layer beneath it. This interconnected view made him a rare thinker, one who saw unity where others saw separation. Another principle that guided Leonardo was the belief in continual curiosity. He considered curiosity not as a fleeting impulse, but as a lifelong discipline. His notebooks are filled with lists of questions, not answers, inquiries about light, motion, biology, mathematics, and the human spirit. Many of these questions were centuries ahead of his time. Leonardo did not expect all of them to be answered. He believed the search itself was valuable. He wrote that learning never exhausts the mind, reflecting his view that curiosity was a source of renewal rather than a burden. This quiet hunger for understanding propelled him through every stage of life. Leonardo also believed in the power of experience. While scholars of his day relied heavily on ancient texts, Leonardo insisted on learning directly from nature. He wrote that experience is the mistress of all things, emphasizing that true knowledge emerged from observation and testing. This approach set him apart from others who accepted traditional teachings without question. Leonardo often repeated experiments, studied phenomena from multiple angles, and challenged assumptions. His scientific methods foreshadowed the principles that would later define modern research: testing, documenting, and refining. For Leonardo, experience was not only a tool, but a way of living. Another quiet philosophy woven through Leonardo's life was his view of patience. He approached his work with a measured calm, refusing to rush even under pressure. This patience was not laziness, but devotion. Leonardo believed that time allowed the mind to settle, ideas to mature, and understanding to deepen. He often spent hours contemplating a single stroke of paint or a mechanical design, knowing that clarity would emerge only through stillness. This calm discipline allowed him to produce work that felt timeless and contemplative. In an age of competition and urgency, Leonardo embraced slowness as a virtue. One of the most profound aspects of Leonardo's philosophy was his belief that beauty and truth were inseparable. He did not see art merely as decoration, but as a path to understanding reality. When he painted a face, he sought not just resemblance, but the hidden emotion beneath the surface. When he sketched a plant, he captured the geometry that shaped its growth. Beauty was not superficial to Leonardo. It was structural. emerging from the harmony of natural laws. This belief made his art uniquely lifelike, infused with depth and authenticity. Leonardo also held quiet reflections about human potential. He believed that people were capable of far more than they realized, but that many failed to develop their abilities because they did not cultivate curiosity or discipline. He wrote that the human mind was like a field, capable of growth but only if tended with care. He encouraged those around him to question freely, observe deeply, and live intentionally. Leonardo's calm confidence in human capability later inspired countless thinkers who saw in him a symbol of intellectual possibility. Another element of Leonardo's inner philosophy was his relationship with nature. He considered it not merely a subject of study, but a source of wisdom. Nature, he believed, contained answers to questions humans had not yet learned to ask. He saw in rivers the principles of motion, in trees the mathematics of branching, in clouds the patterns of air. Nature never hurried, yet it achieved everything. This gentle lesson shaped Leonardo's own approach, steady, thoughtful, and patient. He believed that to understand nature was to understand oneself. Leonardo's reflections on emotion also reveal a thoughtful philosophy. He understood that human feelings were complex and subtle, and he captured them with restraint rather than exaggeration. His portraits reveal expressions that cannot be described easily. A hint of thought, a quiet smile, a moment of hesitation. Leonardo believed that emotion in art should feel natural, as if drawn from life rather than imagination. He observed people carefully, noting how their eyes shifted, how their mouths tensed or softened, how posture revealed mood. To him, emotion was the soul of a portrait. One aspect of Leonardo's mind that fascinated later generations was his sense of wonder. Despite his vast knowledge, he never allowed familiarity to dull his amazement. He treated every observation, whether the curve of a feather or the mechanics of a hinge, with the same curiosity he had felt as a child in Vinci. This youthful wonder gave his work a sense of freshness and openness. Leonardo believed that wisdom was not the opposite of wonder, but its fulfillment. The more he learned, the more he realized how much remained to be discovered. A deep part of Leonardo's philosophy was his acceptance of imperfection. Though known for his perfectionism, he also believed that nothing in life could ever be fully completed. Nature was always growing, changing, and evolving. Leonardo embraced this perspective in his work. He understood that some pieces would remain unfinished, some ideas incomplete. Rather than seeing this as failure, he viewed it as a natural part of the creative process. His life reflected this acceptance, a continuous journey of learning, not a race toward completion. Leonardo's notes also reveal a quiet moral philosophy. He valued kindness, moderation, and humility. He disliked unnecessary conflict and preferred peaceful environments where thought could flourish. He often wrote about compassion toward animals and the importance of gentle living. Though not known for dramatic statements, Leonardo expressed his ethics through small choices, the way he treated his assistants, the patience he showed students, and the respect he held for life in all its forms. His philosophy was not loud but lived. Another central idea in Leonardo's thinking was the belief that the human body was a microcosm of the universe. He saw in anatomy the same patterns found in nature: symmetry, proportion, movement, and balance. The body, to him, reflected the order of creation. This view shaped his anatomical drawings and informed his artistic ideals. Leonardo believed that by understanding the body, one understood broader principles of harmony and structure. His fascination with anatomy was not purely scientific, it was philosophical, revealing how deeply he believed in unity across scales. Leonardo's philosophy of motion also influenced his engineering work. He believed that movement was the expression of life, and he sought to understand how forces interacted in nature. His studies of water currents, flying birds, and mechanical gears reflected a mind fascinated by dynamic systems. Leonardo wrote that motion revealed the cause in action, meaning that observing how something moved often revealed why it existed. This belief allowed him to anticipate principles modern physics would later define. One of the most intimate aspects of Leonardo's philosophy was his reflection on time. He understood that time shaped everything: rivers, stones, bodies, and ideas. Leonardo believed that time was both creator and destroyer, a force that demanded respect. Rather than resisting time, he embraced it. He wrote that life unfolded not according to human desires, but according to nature's rhythm. This acceptance kept him calm through delays, failures, and unfinished work. He trusted that understanding would come when the mind was ready. Another gentle philosophy Leonardo lived by was the idea of balanced solitude. Though he valued conversation and learning from others, he also cherished quiet time alone. These solitary moments allowed him to observe nature, reflect on questions, and refine his ideas. Leonardo believed that silence nurtured clarity. He spent many evenings walking alone, absorbing the patterns of the world around him. Solitude was not isolation for Leonardo, it was nourishment. Leonardo's view of the universe was deeply rooted in harmony. He believed that nature was built on mathematical relationships, ratios, geometry, and proportions that created order. His fascination with spirals, symmetry, and branching patterns reflected this belief. He saw mathematics not as a cold abstraction, but as a poetry of structure. In his eyes, the universe was both scientific and poetic, bound together by patterns more beautiful than any human invention. Toward the last years of his life, Leonardo developed a quiet philosophy about legacy. He understood that fame was temporary, but knowledge could endure. He did not seek monuments or statues. He sought understanding. He believed that the best way to honor life was to contribute something meaningful to the world's body of knowledge. His notebooks, carefully organized in France, reflected this belief, that ideas once shared lived beyond the individual who conceived them. As Leonardo's thoughts deepened, he often reflected on the mystery of life itself. He understood much, yet he acknowledged that many things were unknowable. This humility kept him grounded. He believed that mystery was not to be feared, but appreciated. It reminded him that the world was vast, filled with wonders beyond the reach of even the most curious mind. This acceptance made his work feel open, inviting others to explore where he left off. Leonardo also wrote about the importance of balance between study and rest, between observation and imagination, between thought and action. He believed that the mind worked best when nourished by variety. His life reflected this balance as he moved fluidly between disciplines, never allowing himself to become trapped in a single way of thinking. This balance gave his creativity depth and resilience. One of the last philosophical themes that appears in Leonardo's writings is his meditation on mortality. He viewed death not as an end, but as a natural transition. He saw it in the cycles of seasons, the decay of leaves, and the renewal of life. Leonardo believed that the universe moved in rhythms, and that death was a necessary part of those rhythms. This understanding brought him calmness in his later years. He faced the end of life with the same gentle curiosity he had brought to every other mystery. In the centuries that followed Leonardo da Vinci's death, the world he had once known changed profoundly. Nations rose and fell, scientific revolutions unfolded, and artistic movements reshaped culture again and again. Yet through all this transformation, Leonardo's presence lingered quietly, like a whisper traveling across generations. His ideas resurfaced in unexpected places, in the hands of inventors who stumbled upon his diagrams, in the observations of scientists who mirrored his methods, and in the brushstrokes of artists who sensed his influence without ever having seen his work. Though the man himself was gone, the echo of his genius continued to ripple through time. In the decades immediately after his passing, Leonardo's reputation rested primarily on his paintings, which circulated among collectors and connoisseurs. The Mona Lisa, still relatively unknown outside artistic circles, began to earn admiration for its lifelike subtlety. Scholars who examined the work noted the extraordinary softness of the transitions, the mysterious expression, and the emotional quietness the portrait conveyed. Leonardo had painted her with an intention that transcended conventional portraiture, capturing not a likeness, but a presence. Slowly, the painting began to attract a quiet reverence that would grow into global fascination centuries later. Meanwhile, The Last Supper continued to influence artistic thought, even as it deteriorated under the weight of time and experimental materials. Painters from various regions traveled to study it, attempting to understand how Leonardo had captured such intense emotion within a single moment. They sketched the composition, memorized the facial expressions, and analyzed the placement of hands and gestures. Even when sections faded or cracked, the power of the piece remained palpable. The painting's fragility only added to its mystique, a masterpiece surviving against all odds, just as Leonardo's ideas did. The Renaissance gradually gave way to new artistic eras, yet Leonardo's influence remained a quiet thread woven through them. Baroque artists borrowed his understanding of anatomy and emotion, grounding their dramatic scenes in lifelike detail. Scholars continued to reference his methods, even when they did not know the full extent of his scientific writings. Leonardo's holistic approach to creativity, the blending of disciplines, inspired thinkers in ways they often could not articulate. His genius had spread beyond his works, embedding itself in the methods of those who came after. Centuries passed, and Europe shifted through upheavals that altered the path of history. Wars, plagues, and political transformations scattered many of Leonardo's manuscripts further, distributing them into private collections, libraries, and archives. Some were protected with great care, others were neglected. Yet each time a manuscript resurfaced, it reawakened interest in the breadth of Leonardo's mind. Scholars who studied his writings were stunned to find diagrams of helicopters, tanks, water pumps, and advanced scientific observations that seemed impossibly modern. The more they uncovered, the more remarkable Leonardo appeared. During the Enlightenment, thinkers looked back at Leonardo with newfound respect. His belief in experience, observation, and rational inquiry mirrored the era's philosophical ideals. Scientists viewed him as a precursor to empirical study, someone who had embraced experimentation long before it became a formal method. Anatomists marveled at his drawings, recognizing details that aligned with discoveries still being made. Leonardo, once known primarily as an artist, began to emerge as a foundational figure in the history of science. His notebooks, once fragmented and obscure, began gaining appreciation as monumental works of intellectual achievement. By the 18th and 19th centuries, Leonardo's reputation expanded further as historians began compiling his scattered manuscripts into larger collections. The Codex Atlanticus, one of the most extensive compilations, presented the world with Leonardo's engineering and scientific mind in full bloom. The pages revealed ideas that stretched across disciplines: water flow studies, architectural designs, mechanical inventions, and sketches of nature that bordered on the poetic. These revelations transformed Leonardo into more than an artist. He became a symbol of intellectual independence, a figure whose mind belonged to no single field but to all. As industrialization accelerated, engineers looked to Leonardo's designs with admiration. They found seeds of innovation in his sketches: gears that resembled those used in factories, flight mechanisms that anticipated early aircraft, and hydraulic systems that connected to modern engineering principles. Though Leonardo had lived centuries before the invention of electricity or engines, His ideas seemed strangely compatible with the machines of the future. It was as if he had glimpsed potential worlds that technology had not yet reached. This uncanny foresight elevated him into the public imagination as both artist and inventor. During the Romantic era, artists and poets embraced Leonardo as a figure of mystery and transcendence. They admired not only his paintings, but the enigmatic quality of his life, the unfinished works, the scattered notebooks, the quiet philosophy that shaped his creativity. To them, Leonardo represented the archetype of the solitary genius, a mind endlessly searching, wandering between disciplines, guided by an inner flame of curiosity. Writers invoked him as a metaphor for human potential, someone who followed his passions without compromise. Leonardo became both a historical figure and an ideal. The 19th century also brought profound public fascination with the Mona Lisa. Scholars debated her identity, her expression, and the reason for her creation. The more they studied the painting, the more enigmatic it became. Her smile seemed to shift depending on the viewer's perception, appearing joyful in one moment and melancholic in the next. Leonardo had captured something intangible, a psychological subtlety that few artists had achieved. This mystery transformed the Mona Lisa into a cultural icon, a painting that transcended art and became a universal symbol of beauty and intrigue. As the 20th century began, Leonardo's legend reached new heights. Advances in photography and printing made it possible for his works to be reproduced widely, bringing his art into homes, schools, and museums across the world. Scientists re-examined his anatomical drawings using modern tools, discovering that some of his depictions were so accurate they rivaled contemporary textbooks. Engineers reconstructed his flying machines, testing them in controlled environments, and finding that many could function in principle. Leonardo's visionary ideas seemed more relevant than ever. One of the greatest surges in Leonardo's fame occurred after the 1911 theft of the Mona Lisa. The disappearance of the painting captivated the world, turning it into an international sensation. Newspapers across continents printed its image, and millions who had never heard Leonardo's name became aware of his genius. When the painting was recovered 2 years later, public fascination intensified. Crowds flocked to see it, elevating the Mona Lisa to one of the most recognized works of art in history. Through this unexpected event, Leonardo's legacy reached a global audience. In modern times, Leonardo has become a symbol of the limitless possibilities of the human mind. His multidisciplinary mastery, art, anatomy, engineering, physics, architecture, botany, resonates deeply with today's world, where knowledge thrives at the intersections of fields. Universities teach his methods, researchers cite his insights, and artists study his techniques as foundational pillars of creativity. Leonardo's belief that curiosity guides discovery remains a central lesson across all disciplines. He inspires scientists to observe carefully, engineers to innovate boldly, and artists to seek emotion and truth in their work. Digital technology has also played a role in expanding Leonardo's legacy. High-resolution scans of his notebooks allow people to explore his thoughts in intricate detail, revealing the delicate strokes and handwritten notes that form the structure of his ideas. Modern restorations of his paintings restore colors and textures that had faded over centuries. These advancements bring Leonardo closer to contemporary audiences, offering insights into his process that earlier generations could only imagine. Each discovery feels like a conversation with the past, a glimpse into the workings of a mind that remains extraordinary. Education systems throughout the world teach Leonardo as the embodiment of the Renaissance ideal, a person who embraces curiosity, creativity, and interdisciplinary study. Students learn not only about his paintings, but about his inventions, scientific methods, and philosophical reflections. Teachers often use him as an example of how creative thinking can lead to breakthroughs across unrelated fields. Leonardo represents a blueprint for intellectual courage, the willingness to explore without limits, to question deeply, and to see connections others overlook. Even today, artists continue to analyze Leonardo's techniques, especially his mastery of light, shadow, and subtle expression. His approach to portraiture remains unmatched, challenging painters to capture not merely the appearance, but the inner life of their subjects. Engineers test his mechanical sketches, discovering fresh insights hidden in the simplicity of his lines. Historians study his notebooks, slowly translating the thoughts he left behind. Leonardo's work does not age. It evolves with time, offering new interpretations as human understanding expands. In the realm of philosophy, Leonardo is often cited as a thinker who embodied quiet wisdom. His reflections on nature, time, and human potential align with ideas explored by later philosophers. Leonardo believed deeply in harmony, the balance between emotion and reason, between observation and imagination, between art and science. His life demonstrated that these forces were not opposites, but partners. By studying him, philosophers gain insight into how the pursuit of knowledge can be both rigorous and gentle, both technical and poetic. As the digital age progresses, Leonardo's influence reaches beyond traditional scholarship. Documentaries, films, books, and interactive exhibits bring his story to audiences who may never study art or science formally. His face appears on posters, stamps, currencies, and educational materials. His ideas inspire technologies he could not have imagined: artificial intelligence, robotics, modern aeronautics. In many ways, Leonardo feels more present now than he did during his own lifetime. His mind, once contained on fragile pages, now travels the world with astonishing speed. Yet, despite his global fame, there remains something intimate about Leonardo's legacy. His notebooks reveal not only brilliance, but vulnerability, unfinished thoughts, experiments that failed, questions that lingered unanswered. This humanity makes him relatable, reminding us that even the greatest minds face uncertainty. Leonardo's genius was not the result of perfection, but of persistence. He continued learning, experimenting, and refining throughout his life, guided by curiosity rather than pride. His legacy encourages others to embrace the same journey. As we reflect on Leonardo's influence across centuries, a gentle truth emerges. His legacy was not built on grand declarations or loud ambition. It grew quietly through the curiosity he nurtured, the connections he discovered, and the insights he recorded. Leonardo's life reminds us that knowledge is not a destination, but a path, one that unfolds through observation, patience, and wonder. His presence continues to guide humanity not because of his fame, but because his way of seeing the world opened doors to possibilities that still expand today. As the world entered the modern era, Leonardo da Vinci's presence began to feel increasingly alive, as though his mind were awakening within a new age shaped by technology, discovery, and intellectual expansion. While centuries had passed since he walked through the hills of Vinci or the corridors of Milan, his ideas found fresh relevance in a world that could finally match his imagination. The scientific revolutions of the 19th and 20th centuries made it possible to test concepts Leonardo had once envisioned in quiet notebooks. It was as if time had finally caught up to him, allowing humanity to understand ideas that had long remained a whisper in the margins of history. His genius, once scattered across fragile pages, now began to shine with a clarity previously impossible. In the early 20th century, scholars and scientists began studying Leonardo's manuscripts with renewed focus. These notebooks, filled with sketches of gears, anatomical studies, architectural plans, and scientific reflections, revealed a mind that had not belonged solely to the Renaissance. They hinted at a perspective that seemed to stretch toward modernity, anticipating discoveries in mechanics, biology, mathematics, and flight. Scholars realized that Leonardo's method, observing, questioning, experimenting, aligned closely with scientific principles that would not be formally established until centuries after his death. This realization gave his work a timeless quality, suggesting that his thinking transcended the limitations of his era. The rise of aviation brought particular attention to Leonardo's early studies of flight. Engineers looked at his wing designs, airfoil sketches, and notes on air resistance with amazement, realizing that Leonardo had understood some of the principles of aerodynamics long before the field existed. When pilots and scientists examined the drawings of his flying machines, they found not the fantasies of an artist, but the grounded observations of a thinker who had carefully studied birds, airflow, and mechanical lift. While his machines were not built during his lifetime, modern tests and simulations showed that many of them could have glided or lifted if constructed with the materials available today. Leonardo's dreams of flight, once confined to parchment, found new life in the skies of the 20th century. At the same time, advancements in medical science brought renewed attention to Leonardo's anatomical drawings. Medical professionals studied the way he captured the human body with extraordinary accuracy. Muscles layered with precision, organs drawn in cross-sections that resembled modern imaging, and skeletal structures portrayed with engineering-like clarity. Leonardo had not only observed anatomy, he had understood it intuitively. His dissections, detailed notes, and sketches revealed insights about the heart, circulatory system, and embryonic development that predated modern medical discoveries by hundreds of years. As doctors examined his work, they realized that his approach resembled that of a modern scientist, not a Renaissance artist. The depth of understanding in his drawings helped bridge the gap between art and medicine, showing how observation and beauty could illuminate the inner workings of the human body. The industrial age also found a surprising ally in Leonardo's mechanical designs. Engineers and inventors realized that many machines foundational to modern society, gears, pulleys, cranes, conveyor systems, had early precursors in Leonardo's notebooks. He had envisioned mechanisms that resembled bicycles, automobiles, and even robots, long before such inventions existed. His sketches of automated devices sparked interest among robotics researchers, who recognized in Leonardo's mechanical mannequins the earliest concepts of programmable movement. These revelations transformed Leonardo into a figure not only of art and science, but of innovation and engineering. The world saw him not as a dreamer, but as a practical thinker whose imagination had anticipated technological progress. As photography and printing technology improved, Leonardo's works began to circulate more widely, reaching audiences beyond scholars and artists. His paintings were reproduced in books, magazines, and exhibitions around the world, allowing millions to study his techniques. Art historians analyzed his use of sfumato, chiaroscuro, and delicate anatomical accuracy, revealing methods that required intense discipline and mastery. The Mona Lisa, once quietly admired, became a symbol of artistic mystery and perfection. Her smile, soft and elusive, attracted interpretations from psychologists, poets, and philosophers. People from every background began forming personal connections to Leonardo's work, finding in his paintings emotions that felt universal. Leonardo's notebooks, once hidden in private collections, also began to surface in museums where visitors could glimpse the intimate workings of his mind. Pages filled with mirrored handwriting and detailed sketches captivated crowds, offering a rare view into the daily thoughts of a genius. People were struck not by the finality of his ideas, but by their ongoing nature. Questions scribbled in the margins, drawings layered one over another, concepts explored from multiple angles. This fluidity made Leonardo feel human and accessible. His notebooks did not reveal perfection, they revealed curiosity, the same curiosity that lived in every viewer who stood before them. The 20th century also brought Leonardo into the realm of popular culture. Films, novels, documentaries, and television programs explored his life, often portraying him as a figure of mystery and brilliance. Writers imagined his thought processes, speculated about his inspirations, and created narratives around the secrets hidden in his works. While some interpretations drifted into myth, they reflected a deep fascination with who Leonardo had been and how he had seen the world. His name became a cultural symbol associated with intelligence, creativity, and innovation. People invoked Leonardo not only as an artist, but as a representation of human potential. During this period, scholars worked meticulously to piece together Leonardo's scattered manuscripts. They compared handwriting, studied ink compositions, and traced ownership histories in an effort to reconstruct the original order of his notebooks. This painstaking work revealed how interconnected his ideas truly were. Pages on engineering flowed into notes on anatomy, which led into reflections on art and nature. By restoring the context of these writings, researchers began to understand Leonardo's holistic vision, a worldview in which disciplines intermingled naturally. This reconstruction deepened appreciation for his methods, showing that Leonardo's genius lay not only in individual discoveries, but in the seamless integration of diverse knowledge. Modern museums dedicated exhibitions to Leonardo's work, bringing together paintings, manuscripts, and reconstructions of his inventions. Visitors walked through galleries filled with interactive displays that demonstrated the mechanics of his designs. They watched as models of his flying machines soared through the air in simulations, or as digital animations revealed how his hydraulic systems functioned. These exhibitions allowed people to step into Leonardo's world, bridging the distance between past and present. For many, witnessing his ideas brought to life became an emotional experience, a chance to stand on the edge of history and understanding simultaneously. As the digital age progressed, Leonardo's influence grew even stronger. High-resolution scanning allowed researchers to examine his paintings at the microscopic level, revealing brushstrokes invisible to the naked eye. Infrared imaging uncovered initial sketches beneath final layers of paint, showing how Leonardo revised and refined his ideas. Computer algorithms analyzed his handwriting, revealing patterns in his thinking. Digital reconstructions of his machines allowed engineers to test them with precision. The fusion of technology and art turned Leonardo's legacy into a living field of study, constantly evolving as new tools emerged. In universities, Leonardo became a central subject in courses on creativity, multidisciplinary thinking, and innovation. Professors used his life as an example of how curiosity fuels discovery. Students studied his approach to learning, observing deeply, asking questions, embracing failure, and exploring without boundaries. These lessons resonated in fields far beyond art and science. Entrepreneurs admired his ability to envision bold possibilities. Designers followed his belief that beauty and function could coexist. Engineers emulated his iterative process, testing and refining ideas. Leonardo's wisdom became a guide for those seeking to navigate the complexity of the modern world. The Mona Lisa's cultural status reached unprecedented heights during the 21st century. Millions visited the Louvre each year, drawn not only to her enigmatic smile, but to the aura surrounding her. The painting became a symbol of artistic mastery, attracting endless interpretations and discussions. Psychologists studied her expression, linguists examined the symbolism, and physicists analyzed the layers of varnish. Her presence sparked curiosity across disciplines, reflecting the same spirit that guided Leonardo himself. the more the world studied the Mona Lisa, the more questions emerged, fulfilling Leonardo's belief that deep beauty invites endless exploration. Beyond individual works, Leonardo's worldview began influencing global conversations about creativity, science, and sustainability. His belief in observing nature to solve human problems aligned with modern ecological thinking. Architects found value in his principles of harmony and proportion. Environmental scientists appreciated his insights into water flow, erosion, and natural systems. Leonardo's holistic approach encouraged modern thinkers to consider connections between disciplines, promoting a more integrated understanding of the world. His ideas became relevant to issues he could not have foreseen, revealing the timelessness of his philosophy. In contemporary times, artificial intelligence researchers studied Leonardo's problem-solving approaches, analyzing how his mind connected seemingly unrelated ideas. His notebooks revealed cognitive patterns that aligned with modern theories of neural networks and creativity. Scholars found that Leonardo often explored concepts through analogy, comparing one system to another to uncover hidden truths. This method resembled the way AI systems analyze data, drawing connections across vast networks of information. In a way, Leonardo anticipated the cognitive frameworks that would define future technologies. His mind operated with the flexibility and depth that many modern systems only aim to imitate. As the world continued to evolve, Leonardo's legacy became even more cherished. His ideas appeared in classrooms, museums, laboratories, and workshops. Innovators cited his influence, artists reinterpreted his techniques, and scientists praised his observational rigor. Leonardo became a symbol of infinite possibility, a reminder that human understanding expands through curiosity, patience, and humility. People looked to him for inspiration, guidance, and beauty, finding in his life a testament to the power of seeking truth with gentle determination. Throughout this modern revival, one theme remained constant. Leonardo's genius was not defined by the perfection of his works, but by the depth of his questions. He embraced uncertainty, followed intuition, and allowed ideas to lead him wherever they wished. His mind moved freely across boundaries that society often imposed. This freedom became the essence of his influence, a legacy not merely of achievements, but of perspective. Leonardo taught the world that understanding emerges through exploration, and that discovery is a process, not an endpoint. In the centuries since Leonardo da Vinci's time, the world has changed beyond what even his boundless imagination could have predicted. Yet, with every leap forward, every scientific discovery, artistic breakthrough, or technological revolution, humanity seems to drift closer to the way Leonardo once saw the world. His vision, shaped by curiosity and gentle observation, has become a form of guidance for generations seeking direction in an increasingly complex age. It is as if Leonardo left behind more than works and ideas. He left a blueprint for what a human being could become. This chapter explores the deeper resonance Leonardo holds across culture, philosophy, and the future, the way he has become an eternal companion to the human story. Leonardo's enduring influence begins with the way he perceived learning. He did not see knowledge as a series of isolated subjects, but as branches of a great tree whose roots were curiosity itself. In an era defined by specialization, his approach feels both refreshing and necessary. Engineers look to Leonardo as a reminder that creativity thrives when the mind moves freely between disciplines. Artists study his scientific notes and realize that structure deepens beauty. Scientists reading his reflections discover a poetic sensitivity to nature that their own work sometimes lacks. Leonardo teaches that learning is most alive when it is allowed to wander, to connect, and to evolve, a message that resonates strongly in a world hungry for innovation. One of the most profound cultural impacts Leonardo has had on the modern world is his ability to bridge extremes. He brought together art and science, imagination and logic, observation and emotion. These connections, once considered separate, are now recognized as essential to creativity and problem-solving. Modern innovation depends on the same blend of skills Leonardo embodied. A roboticist who studies human motion echoes Leonardo's anatomical observations. A designer who studies patterns in nature follows his method of learning from the environment. The modern world's most groundbreaking ideas often emerge from intersections, a space where Leonardo lived effortlessly. Leonardo also continues to shape the world through the idea of possibility. He exemplifies the belief that humans can surpass the limits of their time through imagination and discipline. His notebooks, filled with flying machines and advanced engineering designs, remind the world that dreaming boldly is the first step toward transformation. These designs do not merely impress engineers, they inspire ordinary people to question what they themselves might create if they allowed curiosity to guide their lives. Leonardo shows that even the most extraordinary minds begin with simple observations: the flutter of a bird's wing, the movement of water, the muscles beneath human skin. Another reason Leonardo remains so beloved is his humanity. Despite his brilliance, he faced many struggles that resonate deeply with modern audiences. Unfinished projects, self-doubt, constant curiosity that led him down endless paths. In Leonardo, people see themselves imperfect, searching, learning, and growing. His life defies the myth that genius must be flawless. Instead, it shows that greatness emerges through persistence, humility, and a willingness to explore without fear of failure. Leonardo's imperfections make his legacy more relatable, reminding the world that the process of discovery is itself a form of beauty. Leonardo's cultural presence also reflects a universal longing for balance. His life bridged introspection and action, solitude and collaboration, imagination and reality. In a world often overwhelmed by speed, pressure, and distraction, Leonardo's slow, deliberate approach feels grounding. He reminds us that careful observation reveals truths that haste conceals. People turn to Leonardo not only for inspiration, but for calm. His drawings, writings, and philosophies carry a soothing rhythm, a reminder that understanding grows quietly in moments of stillness and reflection. One of the most significant areas where Leonardo's influence continues to deepen is the philosophy of creativity. Modern thinkers increasingly recognize that creativity is not limited to artists but belongs to everyone. Leonardo embodied creativity as a way of life, not a profession. He showed that curiosity could be applied anywhere, in cooking, engineering, painting, walking through fields, or studying water. This expansive view shapes today's thinking about creativity as a universal human skill. His legacy encourages people to nurture their inner artist, scientist, and inventor simultaneously, even if their world urges them to choose only one. Leonardo's impact on ethics and compassion also resonates powerfully today. His writings reveal a kindness toward animals, a respect for nature, and a belief in the dignity of quiet thought. He viewed the world not as a resource to conquer, but as a companion to learn from. In an age where environmental concerns and ethical questions shape global decisions, Leonardo's gentle approach offers perspective. He teaches that understanding the world requires respect, listening to nature, observing its patterns, and recognizing humanity's responsibility within the larger tapestry of life. Another facet of Leonardo's influence is his role as a symbol of curiosity-driven discovery. As scientists explore new frontiers, genetics, astrophysics, artificial intelligence, they often reflect on how Leonardo approached the unknown. He did not fear mysteries, he welcomed them. He understood that the boundaries of knowledge would always expand, and he embraced that journey with humility. This mindset resonates deeply in modern scientific communities, where uncertainty is a constant companion. Leonardo's philosophy teaches researchers to see uncertainty not as frustration, but as potential. In the realm of technology, Leonardo's influence is perhaps more visible than ever. As machines grow more advanced and artificial intelligence becomes a part of daily life, people look to Leonardo as a figure who understood the connection between human creativity and mechanical function. His mechanical drawings reveal a fascination with movement, force, and design that mirrors the work of modern roboticists. His interest in the human body as an elegant system aligns with contemporary efforts to create machines modeled after nature. Leonardo stands as a bridge between ancient craftsmanship and futuristic engineering. Leonardo's presence also continues to shape the world of storytelling. Writers, filmmakers, and artists draw inspiration from his life, finding in him endless fascination. His notebooks become settings for fictional stories. His expressions inspire characters, and his mysteries offer narratives that span genres. People are captivated not only by what Leonardo created, but by the aura surrounding him, the sense that he understood something profound about the human experience. His story offers endless possibilities because it contains both brilliance and humility, both genius and quiet curiosity. Modern education draws deeply from Leonardo's interdisciplinary approach. Teachers encourage students to think like Leonardo, to observe carefully, ask questions, explore nature, and blend subjects. STEM and art programs overlap in environments inspired by his methods. Children are taught to sketch trees not only for art but for biology, to study flight not only through physics but through imagination. Leonardo becomes a companion for young minds, learning how to move through the world with curiosity instead of fear. His influence shapes the architects, scientists, and artists of the future. In philosophy, Leonardo has become a symbol of the unity between mind and nature. His reflections on proportion, harmony, and balance echo ideas in classical philosophy and Eastern thought. He believed the universe operated like a giant organism, interconnected, responsive, and alive. This view resonates with modern discussions about consciousness, ecology, and the nature of existence. Leonardo's perspective bridges logic and intuition, offering a worldview that makes room for science and spirituality to coexist. His ideas continue to inspire thinkers seeking integrated approaches to understanding life. Leonardo's influence reaches deeply into the world of innovation and entrepreneurship. Modern innovators study his habits, his routine of observing, questioning, sketching, and experimenting, and apply those principles to design new products and technologies. His approach to problem-solving using analogies and interdisciplinary thinking guides modern creative teams. Leonardo reminds innovators that breakthroughs often come from combining unlikely ideas, exploring unfamiliar territories, and embracing curiosity even when it leads to uncertainty. His mindset becomes a toolkit for navigating the challenges of building something new. In an emotional and psychological sense, Leonardo serves as a role model for inner growth. He lived a life defined by inward exploration, quiet reflection, and the search for meaning in ordinary experiences. People turn to Leonardo's writings for comfort and inspiration, finding in his gentle tone a reminder to slow down, breathe, and observe the world with care. His philosophy encourages self-awareness, patience, and mindfulness, values that feel increasingly essential in a world dominated by noise and speed. Leonardo teaches not only how to think, but how to be. The global admiration for Leonardo continues to evolve as technology opens new ways of experiencing his works. Virtual reality allows viewers to step inside the Last Supper, walking among the disciples as Leonardo envisioned their gestures. Digital reconstructions of his inventions allow people to operate devices he once only imagined on paper. Artificial intelligence helps decode his notes, revealing hidden meanings and restoring pages damaged by time. These modern tools do not replace Leonardo. They amplify him, making his ideas accessible to millions who may never travel to see his works in person. The more the world studies him, the more alive he feels. Leonardo's face has become one of the most recognized in history. His self-portraits, often imagined through careful study rather than verified certainty, appear in textbooks, art exhibitions, and popular media. People look into those thoughtful eyes and sense the depth of a man who observed everything, yet judged nothing. His image carries a quiet wisdom, a reminder that greatness is not loud or forceful, but contemplative and generous. Leonardo's face has become a symbol of human creativity, curiosity, and complexity. At the heart of Leonardo's enduring legacy is a timeless truth. He represents the full range of human potential. His life reminds the world that each person contains infinite possibilities, shaped not by birth or circumstance, but by the willingness to explore. Leonardo was not born into privilege. He had no formal education, no clear path, and no guarantee of recognition. Yet he cultivated his mind through observation, curiosity, and relentless learning. His story proves that greatness is accessible to anyone who approaches the world with openness and wonder. As society faces new challenges, climate change, technological disruption, ethical dilemmas, Leonardo's worldview offers guidance. He teaches that humans must listen to nature, respect its harmony, and learn from its patterns. He encourages people to remain curious even when answers seem distant. He reminds the world that beauty and truth are deeply intertwined and that progress requires both. Leonardo's legacy suggests that the future belongs not to those who master one skill, but to those who embrace many, weaving them together into something new. Perhaps the most enduring aspect of Leonardo's legacy is the inspiration he gives to anyone who has ever dreamed of more knowledge, more beauty, more understanding. His notebooks whisper encouragement to explore freely, question boldly, and never stop learning. His paintings speak softly of emotion, presence, and the quiet depths of the human spirit. His machines remind the world that imagination is a form of courage. Leonardo da Vinci continues to influence not because he achieved perfection, but because he pursued possibility with gentle persistence. As the modern world continues to expand into realms Leonardo da Vinci could never have physically witnessed, his presence feels strangely more vivid than ever. His ideas, once sketched quietly in the margins of notebooks, now appear across laboratories, classrooms, museums, digital libraries, and countless minds inspired by his gentle brilliance. Leonardo has become more than a historical figure. He has become a companion to human progress, a quiet voice reminding the world to observe closely, imagine boldly, and remain humble before the vastness of nature. In every discipline that grows, his influence rises like dawn light, touching distant landscapes. In the 21st century, Leonardo's relevance deepens as humanity begins facing questions he anticipated centuries ago. Modern scientists explore biological patterns with technologies he could only dream of, yet their discoveries reflect his belief that nature's architecture is intricate, elegant, and mathematical. Urban planners designing sustainable cities echo his visions of balanced environments. Artists seeking emotional truth find themselves studying his subtle transitions of light. Engineers designing efficient machines revisit his diagrams, discovering insights that feel surprisingly contemporary. Leonardo's mind has become a bridge between the past and the future, a reminder that knowledge evolves, but curiosity remains timeless. One of the most profound ways Leonardo continues shaping the world is through the integration of art and science, a union he embodied effortlessly. Today, as disciplines merge through interdisciplinary research, Leonardo's approach feels not old, but ahead of its time. Neuroscientists collaborate with artists to study perception, architects partner with biologists to design living structures, and engineers learn from natural patterns to create efficient systems. This blending of fields echoes Leonardo's belief that truth does not exist in isolated branches, but in the connections woven between them. His ideas help modern thinkers navigate complexity with openness and creativity. The digital age has also transformed access to Leonardo's genius. High-resolution scans of his notebooks allow people across the world to journey through the pages he touched, revealing details once hidden in faded ink. These digital restorations capture the delicate pressure of each line, the small shifts in handwriting, and the evolving thoughts recorded over decades. Virtual reality places viewers inside his workshops, allowing them to explore the spaces where he mixed pigments, studied anatomy, and drafted inventions. In this way, Leonardo's mind becomes almost interactive, inviting future generations to learn alongside him rather than merely study him. Leonardo's influence extends deeply into modern ethics and environmental thinking. As humanity grapples with sustainability, climate change, and the delicate balance of ecosystems, Leonardo's reverence for nature feels increasingly relevant. He believed that the natural world was a teacher, a guide, and a living system filled with patterns that humans should respect. His writings on water systems resemble modern environmental engineering studies. His observations about erosion, plant growth, and atmospheric movement align with principles used today in geology and meteorology. Leonardo saw nature not as something to exploit, but as something to learn from and protect, a worldview the modern world strives to embrace. In the cultural realm, Leonardo's presence continues to stimulate curiosity. His works attract millions of visitors each year, yet their appeal goes far beyond artistic appreciation. People stand before the Mona Lisa not because she is famous, but because she feels alive, a reminder that human expression can be both ephemeral and eternal. Visitors walk through exhibitions of his notebooks, marveling at the diversity of his thoughts. They leave not with answers, but with questions. Questions Leonardo himself might have asked. His influence nourishes curiosity, the one force that propels human understanding forward. Leonardo's story also resonates deeply with people searching for purpose or direction. He grew up with no formal education, no guaranteed position in society, and no clear path to success. Yet through curiosity, patience, and gentle determination, he became one of the most influential minds in history. His life teaches that brilliance is not a gift reserved for the few, but a possibility open to anyone who approaches the world with wonder. Leonardo did not seek fame, he sought understanding. This message continues to inspire those who feel uncertain, reminding them that greatness grows in quiet moments of exploration. One of the most touching aspects of Leonardo's cultural presence is the emotional connection people form with him. His humility, kindness, and introspective nature make him feel relatable, even across centuries. Readers of his notebooks often describe a sense of companionship, as though Leonardo is speaking directly to them through the lines he wrote by candlelight centuries ago. His reflections on life, time, and nature feel deeply human. They remind us that although centuries separate us from Leonardo's world, the questions that shaped his mind still shape ours. How does life work? What is beauty? What is truth? What does it mean to understand? As technology advances, researchers continue uncovering new insights within Leonardo's manuscripts. Artificial intelligence deciphers faded handwriting, revealing hidden layers of thought. Imaging tools expose sketches beneath finished drawings, showing how Leonardo refined ideas. Engineers build models of his hydraulic systems, discovering they function with surprising efficiency. With each discovery, Leonardo's presence expands, as though he is still actively contributing to human progress. In this sense, Leonardo is not a figure of the past. He feels like a quiet collaborator in the present. The academic world continues to celebrate Leonardo as a model of intellectual freedom. Universities teach his methods to students exploring engineering, medicine, psychology, art, and philosophy. Professors encourage students to embrace interdisciplinary learning, reminding them that Leonardo mastered diverse fields through curiosity rather than credentials. His life becomes a guide for approaching complexity with patience and imagination. Students who study him often feel motivated to pursue their own intellectual passions more boldly, knowing that Leonardo once walked through life as a curious observer, just as they do. Beyond academia, Leonardo influences everyday life. His ideas appear in documentaries, literature, digital art, and educational programs. Museums curate exhibits inspired by his way of seeing, encouraging visitors to draw, observe, and interact with nature. People quote his reflections on experience, learning, and humility, finding in his words the comfort of clarity. Leonardo has become part of global culture not because he demanded attention, but because he offered perspective, a calm voice reminding the world to slow down, observe, and appreciate the deeper patterns of life. As modern society reaches toward the future, Leonardo remains a model of timeless wisdom. He showed that innovation requires not only knowledge, but sensitivity, an awareness of how different fields align, how nature shapes life, and how curiosity opens doors. His studies of motion inform robotics. His sketches of anatomy inspire medical imaging. His observations of water guide environmental designs. Leonardo is woven into the foundations of countless disciplines, not as a distant figure, but as a silent companion whose insights continue to ripple forward. In many ways, Leonardo represents the best version of humanity: observant, thoughtful, imaginative, and compassionate. He never claimed to know everything. He embraced not knowing as part of the journey. His notebooks are filled with questions rather than declarations. His paintings capture not perfection, but presence. His machines reveal not mastery, but exploration. Leonardo reminds us that learning is a lifelong process, and that beauty grows in the space between curiosity and understanding. This gentle wisdom resonates deeply in a world often overwhelmed by haste and certainty. As the human story unfolds into new frontiers, space exploration, biotechnology, artificial intelligence, Leonardo's legacy accompanies those journeys. His interdisciplinary approach becomes essential in solving problems that span fields. His humility serves as a reminder to treat new knowledge with respect. His creativity offers encouragement for bold, imaginative thinking. Leonardo becomes a symbol not of the past, but of the possibilities waiting in the centuries ahead. Ultimately, Leonardo's greatest legacy is not the art he painted, the inventions he sketched, or the scientific notes he recorded. It is the way he approached life, with open eyes, a gentle heart, and a mind eager to learn from everything. He showed that creativity and understanding are intertwined, that nature is a teacher, and that the human spirit grows through curiosity. Leonardo's life becomes a quiet invitation to everyone to observe, to imagine, and to embrace the endless pursuit of knowledge. As Chapter 12 drifts to a soft conclusion, imagine Leonardo's presence settling gently into the horizon of human history, never fading, always guiding, always offering a calm reminder of what it means to explore. As you ease into the final moments of this journey, allow your breath to slow and your thoughts to settle gently. You have walked beside Leonardo da Vinci, through the hills of Vinci, the workshops of Florence, the courts of Milan, the sanctuaries of France, and the centuries that followed his passing. You have witnessed the quiet power of curiosity, the beauty hidden in observation, and the wisdom carried in calm reflection. Leonardo's story is not one of noise or spectacle. It is a story of patience, wonder, and gentle discovery. A story that reminds us that learning is not something we finish, but something we live. As you rest now, carry with you the stillness he found in nature, the clarity he sought in truth, and the peace he held in solitude. May the calm of his journey stay with you. May his curiosity inspire yours. And may his gentle way of seeing the world remind you that knowledge grows quietly. One observation, one question, one moment at a time. This is the story of Leonardo da Vinci. And tonight, it becomes part of your own. Sleep well.